So yeah, I don't think she's related though. Mm.
Welcome to Ignite. Mayor Kelly, you may begin.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the first night of Winter Carnival in Gravenhurst. I want to welcome everyone that's joined us on live stream tonight. Not unlike our council meetings, this is an opportunity for our community to observe and witness some of the amazing things that happen in Gravenhurst with some amazing people. I think you'll find the history of Ignite is a great opportunity for us to really get an insight into those people in our community that have amazing ideas and some great movement forward in the things that they do. So tonight, I wanted to kick it off by, first of all, recognizing the members of the Winter Carnival, those that have been involved with Ignite and the Winter Carnival. And first of all, I'd like to recognize the chair, Steve Mullock, who has been chair for a couple of carnivals now at least, and been involved with the committee for a long time. Mark Mantha, who's also on the committee, Jeremy Rand, who you'll see in a few moments, Sandy Cairns, who's the council rep on Winter Carnival, also Mallory Silver, Dennis Rank, Sandra Holsworth, and Kim Ronaldo. From our marketing team in Gravenhurst, I also want to congratulate and thank Leanne Federley, Kayla Jagger, and Jeff Loney for their work. And I couldn't forget Jeff McConkey, the work that he's doing since he's arrived in Gravenhurst. We really appreciate, Jeff, everything that you've done. We really hope that the community will enjoy Winter Carnival as we move over the next few days. But this is a great kickoff. Ignite is a great opportunity for you to see an insight into our town, and you're going to have some great speakers tonight. I have the pleasure, actually, of introducing the first speaker this evening. I got to know Brendan back about almost a year ago now. Brendan, when you were first starting here at Muskoka Bay, it was a great chance to see the new general manager in action. And when we did a little bit of research on Brendan, we discovered he's a self-described hospitality leader, the charismatic general manager, proven track record in service industry. He's got an amazing background in the service industry. Something he's very passionate about and demonstrates while he's at Muskoka Bay here. Brendan shows the passion for the form of training, coaching, and developing others. Outside of work, Brendan's interests extend to aviation, believe it or not, traveling, and personal development. So on behalf of all of us, Brendan, and also I want to recognize Muskoka Bay Club for your involvement in Winter Carnival this year. That's been a great contribution. I think, again, the community will benefit greatly by your being great corporate citizens. So Brendan, on behalf of all of us, we want to welcome you as our keynote speaker, first of all, tonight in Ignite, and I'll turn it over to you. Welcome.
Right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, Mayor Kelly. I really appreciate the introduction and the kind words from you as well. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you since I've joined Muskoka Bay Resorts here almost a year ago as well. So thank you very much for that. I wanted to start off just by thanking all of you for attending the event this evening. It's really a fantastic turnout we've got tonight, and we have some pretty outstanding people lined up and ready to share some stories and some insights with all of you. And we at Muskoka Bay Resorts are really incredibly pleased to have the opportunity to host the event tonight and to have a number of you here joining us and watching from our clubhouse. So under normal circumstances, I'd be saying something along the lines of, it's great to see so many smiling faces out there or something of the sort. But under the circumstances, and since we're all learning how to adapt to this new normal, I'll just say it's good to know that there's some of you out there watching and listening, or hopefully my camera's on. Before I begin to share any information about my role or about Muskoka Bay specifically, I wanted to start off just by saying a little something about this beautiful community here in Gravenhurst. I've been in my role now as general manager at Muskoka Bay for approximately 10 months, just under a year now, and I relocated to the area from the city when I accepted this position. And I have to say that, when I first came here, I didn't really know what to expect. I visited Muskoka area a number of times growing up. I've always loved the area. I've always loved how beautiful it is, the amazing activities that it has to offer, the lifestyle it has to offer. But that said, I had not really specifically spent a ton of time in Gravenhurst prior to moving up here. So fast forward to May of last year, and here I am joining this community that's, you know, heading into the busy season in a brand new hotel resort that's in its first year of operation, you know, as a full service resort in a pandemic, while I'm building a new team here at the resort, familiarizing myself with the resort, the people, the town, you know, learning where to find the best cup of coffee, you know, some of even those simple things. I have to say that I don't think in my career I've ever been made to feel more welcome or more supported than I have since I've joined the Gravenhurst community. I've spent more than 20 years myself in the hospitality industry, and my career as a general manager has taken me to a number of different towns and cities. And it's always been extremely important to me to be engaged within the community in which I'm working. And I've always found in most cities and towns that I come to, I've kind of got to do the work myself to go and seek people out when I join a new town or a new community. Here, it's been a completely different story, and I can't tell you how thankful I am for the amazing support and welcome that I felt from the community since I've joined here. It really has been unbelievable, whether it's you know, visits from Mayor Kelly here in our clubhouse for lunch or for dinner, whether it's, you know, members of the Gravenhurst Chamber, members from the town of Gravenhurst, other local businesses that are eager to partner up with us. It's really been an amazing experience joining this community that just seems to pull together so well and to support each other, work collaboratively. It's just amazing. So I just wanted to mention how thankful I feel to be joining at this time as we start to kind of move forward. And I think there's a lot of exciting things ahead here in the community as we start to come out of this pandemic as well. So I hope that I get to meet the chance to meet as many of you as possible, and I hope that I can become an active and contributing member to the community. So while I've got you here, just bear with me for one moment. And I want to share my screen here. I just want to make sure that you can see my screen here. So I'm here to talk to you today just about a couple of my my very favorite things. Those are Muskoka Bay Resort and community engagement. I wanted to give you a little bit of, you know, some little known facts just about Muskoka Bay that maybe perhaps some members of our community don't even know about us. Muskoka Bay Resort is Muskoka's newest luxury lifestyle resort. Little known fact, we are a semi-private resort community, not a private resort community. We're located on 850 acres of land here in Gravenhurst. And just to kind of give you an idea of the size and scope of our property here at Muskoka Bay, I wanted to share this sort of map of the area. You can see the Muskoka Wharf there, the town of Gravenhurst, some of the businesses off to the left here. And then if you look on the right, you can actually see just a portion of the size of the property here on Muskoka Bay. And you can see our golf course that, of course, is well established here in Gravenhurst. It's been around for over 15 years. And you can see some of the plans and future plans that we have here at the property. So I'm really thankful to be involved with a company that's not only making investments here within the Gravenhurst community, but around Muskoka. We've just acquired a couple of other resorts in the area, and we're excited to sort of change the face of what expectations should be of a resort when you come and visit Ontario as well. So really, really thankful to be a part of Free Developments and to be here specifically at Muskoka Bay. Just a kind of a brief overview of our resort for some of you that may not have had. So again, as I was previously mentioning, we're just completing our first full year of operations as a full service resort. And we now have a 62 unit hotel facility and then 52 low rise loft and villa units. We've of course got our 18 hole championship golf course, which has now been named in a number of publications as one of the top 10 golf courses in Canada. We're really thankful for that. And it's an absolutely gorgeous course if you haven't had the chance to come and play it. And then we've got our 17,000 square foot clubhouse, which is open to the public. And we've hosted a number of events here. And you can see we've got a number of different spaces within our clubhouse that can accommodate anywhere from 30 to 50 people up to 130 people per room. We've got our new spa treatment rooms here available. We've got our adult infinity pool and kids pool with waterfall. We've got over 20 kilometers of trails here on the property, and I'll speak a little bit about how our community can get a chance to experience that as well here. But we've got walking, hiking trails, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing. We've got our tennis courts, our fire pits, our ice rink, which is 40 by 80 that we do offer local skate nights and give you an opportunity to come and check that out as well. Just a couple of pictures of some of our hotel suites here. All of them are fully equipped, and you could actually live in any of our suites if you wanted to, because they've got full kitchens, fridge, stove, microwave, dishwasher. We've got our lofts in our villas. All of our units have laundry in each suite as well. So literally we're equipped for stays from anywhere from one night up to, month-long stays. And I know there's a couple of participants here. Troy and Erica are a couple of them that actually live here on the property as well. And we're very thankful to have them here. So you might recognize one of those units there, guys. A quick bird's eye view just of our clubhouse area here as well. So not only do we have the 17,000 square foot clubhouse that we can hold a number of large events, we've held chamber events here and a number of local community events, but we also have our cliffside terrace, which is about 18,500 square feet in total, one of the largest that you'll find anywhere in Muskoka. And that actually is located 300 feet over the forest and has just an absolutely stunning view. If you have not experienced it, please come. During the summer season and the fall especially, I have to walk out there a number of times throughout the day and just look again myself, because I'm just blown away that this is the area in the office that I get to work in on a daily basis. So that's just a bit of a sort of a brief overview of Muskoka Bay Resort. I wanted to talk just briefly because, again, part of the reason I wanted to speak with you is about community engagement. And if I can share just a personal story of myself, just in the last 6 years, actually, almost 6 years now, I was managing a hotel property in London when I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And during that time, I chose to work the entire time, but for me that was my therapy to sort of help me get through that, while also going through aggressive chemotherapy treatments. I had already at that time been fairly actively involved in the community, but I chose with some of my fellow staff members at the hotel that I was working in at the time to start a charity event, a small charity event. That was all we were really expecting at the time, to raise money for the London Regional Cancer Center. And our first event, we just set a very small goal of raising $2,000. And our first event, we raised over $10,000. That ended up becoming an annual event in London that's raised nearly $50,000 for the London Regional Cancer Program. And in our second year, we were actually voted as the favorite event in the City of London by the Hotel and Restaurant Association. So the reason I share that story is because it is really incredibly important to me, and it always has been, to stay connected within your community. And as somebody that's experienced that firsthand myself, I've really seen what a community of people is capable of achieving when they do pull together. I've never been more thankful and felt more grateful in my entire life than I did, planning events and things like that. And that, inspired me so much to get even more involved in my community. And that's why anywhere that I have been, I've always made it a personal goal and mission to be as involved and sort of plugged into the community as I can. So I wanted to share here just a couple of the partners that we work very closely with here in the local area and provincially. We're active members of Gravenhurst Chamber of Commerce, Muskoka Tourism, Resorts of Ontario, Attractions Ontario, and we are very proud sponsors of the South Muskoka Shield hockey team. We love working with them, and we're also proud sponsors of the upcoming Coldest Night of the Year event, which is in support of Gravenhurst Against Poverty. And not only are we sponsors, we're lead sponsors for the event, but we're also participants. Our entire team is going to be joining for this event. We are raising money and we'll be out walking. And if you have not signed up for it yet, it's next Saturday, February the 26th, right here in Gravenhurst. So we're very excited to be a part of that. Just to talk really briefly about Muskoka Bay's sort of contribution over the last couple of years here locally to the Gravenhurst area as well. As far as visitors are concerned, this past year, we've just finished 2021, obviously, and we had just under 19,000 golf rounds played here at our golf course. In our first year having our hotel here at the resort, we welcomed over 16,000 overnight guests. And this coming year, as per our budget, we are actually projecting to have over 23,000 overnight guests here at the resort. It would likely, to be honest, be even higher than that based on the demand that we're seeing going into this year. And then our restaurant has actually welcomed more than 42,000 diners at the Cliffside Restaurant in 2021. And that was, of course, during a number of sporadic lockdowns and closures. So we anticipate that that number will grow significantly this year. So we want to be able to share the guests that we bring to Muskoka Bay Resorts with the rest of the community as well, because I've said this before, people don't come to Gravenhurst or to Muskoka just to stay at Muskoka Bay Resort. They come here to experience all that our community has to offer, and we really are excited to share all that Gravenhurst has to offer to those visitors. As far as employment here at Muskoka Bay, our team, as we scale up our operation, continues to grow, and right now we're sitting at nearly 60 year-round positions here at the resort. This past year in 2021, during the peak season, we had a total of just over 170 positions, and this year we're actually expecting more than 210 positions, likely closer to 220 or just north of that going into our peak season this year. So we're definitely one of the larger employers in town as well, and we love having the opportunity to provide those summer jobs and those fun outdoor jobs, not only to locals, but to bring people in that have not had the chance to experience Gravenhurst and to enjoy the lifestyle here as well. Just to speak really briefly about some of the experience that locals can get to enjoy here at Muskoka Bay Resort. As I mentioned, it's really important to us that not only are we welcoming guests from outside of town, but that we give the chance for Gravenhurst locals to enjoy what we have to offer here. So we do have our local VIP All Access Pass. That one is for purchase, and that offers unlimited cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, ice skating, etc. We do have our local skate nights every Thursday that offers free skate time for anyone that lives here in town, half price rentals on skis, or you can bring your own on skates, or you can bring your own. We also do offer our trivia nights every other Tuesday at 7 o'clock. It's free to attend. It's right here in our clubhouse, and we've had a lot of locals participate in that and really enjoy that. And then, of course, we're really extremely excited to be participating in the Gravenhurst Winter Carnival. And this coming weekend, we're offering free trail passes for our locals from the 18th to the 20th. And then we're also offering free ice time in a number of blocks Friday evening from 7 to 9 and Saturday morning from 9 to 11. So we couldn't be more thrilled to participate in this. And to continue, we've got a lot of exciting things ahead that we're going to be involving the local community on here at the resort, and to get more of you the opportunity to come and experience what we have to offer as we scale up. So that's all I had to share today. Just to wrap it up, if some of you that are attending this event this evening are also new members of the Gravenhurst community, I'd love to get the chance to welcome you here. And if you're somebody that's called Gravenhurst home for a number of years, I do hope to have the chance to connect with you soon. But thank you very much again for the opportunity to speak here tonight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. So without further ado, I'll welcome in the next speaker here as well, and I believe that's Troy.
Hello. Hi, Troy. I'm going to butt in. I'm going to introduce you in a second.
Okay.
I'm just going to say a few words on behalf of the Ignite committee. I also want to thank Brendan for that information on Muskoka Bay. Certainly, I've been there, but learned a little bit tonight about what you guys do and some of those contributions you make to the community, and that's great. For everybody watching tonight, originally we were supposed to be live in person at Muskoka Bay. That obviously didn't happen, but we are doing a live streaming there. So hi to everybody at Muskoka Bay. Hopefully everything's going smoothly over there. It's kind of weird being on stage without any feedback, but we're going to make do. Also want to thank Mayor Kelly, town staff, Mallory and Jeffrey McConkey, especially. You guys have been wonderful in making sure this runs smoothly tonight. The biggest thanks always goes to the Gravenhurst Winter Carnival Committee. You guys are literally warriors. You're giving the precious gift of your time to this community every year. This year has been an especially tough one to organize, and I just want you to know that this is not lost on anyone who's actually paying attention. You're making us proud, and I want to thank Chair Mullock and your team for the great work you've done. keeping our traditions going. So just some ground rules tonight for our speakers. We do have 5-minute limits, and you can't see this. It's a little bit blurry. This is a timer. I will be timing the slides tonight. At the 4 minutes and 50-second mark, you will be hearing a ding, which sounds like that. And that's about it, no pressure. And I just wanted to say a few things before I introduce Troy. And I'm going to put you on mute, Troy. Oh, you are on mute now. Thank you. When we think of what makes our communities great, we can point to the physical, we can point to the built form, we can point to the beautiful landscape, the abundant nature, natural environment. But at the end of the day, it's really the people that makes a place special. And we call this fabric, we call this the fabric of our community. And we have one that is tightly knit. While our fabric has been challenged over the past few years, it is the fact that we live in a supportive, tightly weaved community that keeps us resilient. And it is organizations big and small that keeps this fabric from fraying. Pretty good with the puns, eh? We have amazing organizations such as Gravenhurst Against Poverty, Rotary, there's seed exchanges, we have volunteer boat builders who are there to keep our history alive. And this is all the underpinning of a great, well-knit community. And when we think about how to enhance the social fabric, the best thing we can do is togetherness. And these interactions, free flow of information, and support between neighbors and friends and family is what really makes the fabric even more resilient. We've seen some incredible events that have not skipped a beat, such as the coolest night of the year. While some organizations have had to go online, we can still see organizations like the Softball League, the Curling Club, and others that continue to thrive in these difficult times. When we ask ourselves, what keeps these things going, and it only takes a look at a sweet young baby or the lifelong achievements of an accomplished member of our community to find that inspiration. Our fabric remains strong throughout the pandemic, and I guess what I'm trying to say is the last few years have been a real stitch, but again, no feedback. Hopefully that landed. Our fabric's not perfect, but it's diverse and it's ours. So tonight we're going to bring back sharing ideas, making connections, and learning a little bit more about these important stewards of our town, our neighbors. It is the fact that we are good at more than just one thing. Gravenhurst is not just the birthplace of Muskoka. It's home to some pretty damn interesting people, well-connected and passionate people. We're happy to have the opportunity tonight for the 5th time to share, this time around on a virtual stage, with 16 of our neighbors. And these knitters are here to bring you some knowledge and share some yarns with us at the 5th Ignite Gravenhurst. So on behalf of the Gravenhurst Ignite Committee, thank you everybody for joining us. And without further ado, Troy Kaller, I will call you back to the stage. Troy has spent more than 20 years of entrepreneurship, or he has more than 20 years of entrepreneurship under his belt. I'm a little bit nervous, maybe more so than a live audience. Hopefully you're not nervous, Troy, but you are the CAO of Muskoka Care, the owner, head coach, and director of hockey operations and player development for the South Muskoka Shield Junior A Hockey Club at the GMHL, and that's a mouthful. You are also the founder of Academy of Hockey Training since 2002. You're a professional hockey, fitness, and nutrition coach, and most importantly, a soon-to-be dad, as you and your wife are expecting a new baby in April. So congratulations. And for everybody, our first speaker of the night, Troy Kaller.
Thank you very much. Not married yet, still got some time, but I'm going to pop over to my presentation here. You're going to see my beautiful fiance very soon. I apologize for my hoarse voice. It's me yelling at 30 of my children that are from around the world that are living here in Gravenhurst. We are full on again, so we're going every day now. So secret sauce to a life well lived. It's something I want to think about. I want to tell you a bit of a story about who I am. Let's see here. So I want to talk about something first. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. So that's one thing I had to figure out. I was always taking. I was always wanting to do everything I wanted to do. And I've learned, I'd say in the past 4 or 5 years, that I get more out of life giving back. So my story, I grew up in Scarborough, single parent family. My mother remarried That guy in the tuxedo there was my brother. He beat me up every day almost. It was craziness. Maybe where I learned my mental toughness from. But I ended up getting a scholarship to University of Michigan, which started my life in sport, started my kind of independence per se. And then after I left the University of Michigan, I played some semi-pro in the US, but I wanted to find myself. I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do. I worked for Google and Salesforce at Dell, but I always kind of felt like I wasn't doing enough for myself. So what do? I moved to the other side of the world. I moved to Dubai. I was golfing 6 days a week, playing hockey still. I started the Academy of Hockey over there, but it didn't seem like it was enough. I was jumping out of planes for adrenaline. I rescued a dog who I still have, but it was always something where, I didn't really feel like I was kind of complete. So what was my purpose? Why did I feel lost? It's a crazy world over there on the other side of the world. Talking to my family, it was always like I had to get up at 4 a.m. to speak to them because they weren't getting up at 4 a.m. to speak to me. But it was kind of like, well, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Why am I doing what I'm doing? So I'm not sure if you guys know. Sorry about the formatting. I'm a Google guy. It didn't quite work out, but go to your happy place is what people always said. What do you love most? What was in your life? What made you the most full, complete? And funny enough, it's Muskoka. Every single summer, I grew up here. Morrison Lake, just south of here, off Southwood. Funny enough, Mayor Kelly's from there as well. But it was, the Muskoka winters in the ice. It was the skiing, barefooting, the swimming, just being on the lake. And my happy place, my favorite place in the world, it wasn't Dubai, it wasn't Miami, it wasn't in Europe, it was on my dock. It was sitting on the dock of the bay in Muskoka. So, thinking about all these crazy things, my fiance and I said, okay, well, what are you passionate for? It was still hockey. It was Muskoka. We decided to open up a business up here, which you're going to hear more about from my beautiful fiance. I'm getting bonus points every time I say that. But why not jump into the hockey community? So we sought after what was going on. We know about what's happened here in the past. We wanted to change things. So, we bought the Shield. It was something that I've always wanted to do. I've owned pro hockey teams in the IIHF in Europe and the Middle East, but this was something that I wanted to really sink my teeth into. But there was one thing we were missing. That was a community. So looking at how you build a junior hockey program or coming into a town like Gravenhurst or even South Muskoka, launching a business, coming in as owners of a sports organization, we wanted to bring family entertainment back. That was the first thing. Then we wanted to also give back to the community. So we have a grassroots level programming that we're doing where even this weekend for Gravenhurst Winter Carnival, we're doing a free skate from 7 to 10 on Sunday. Sorry? Oh, someone was talking there. But which we're surprising everyone with, which wasn't on the activity list, but we are doing that because we want to give back. And we want to help elevate the brand of the town itself. And that was one thing we talked about to our sponsors, what they want to do as well. And obviously, as you know, Mayor Kelly is super competitive like I am. Win, baby, win. We want to turn this program around and kind of move it to where it should be. So the one thing that was in this blank slide that I was all stressed about, there was a video of Mayor Kelly at our game pounding all the boys as they came out of the dressing room for our first game of the year. The one thing that I went to right away was the community. I went to ask people in the community for help, and Mayor Kelly was the first one. Very, very gracious. I met with them. We talked about 15 different people, and I don't know how to remember, but he gave me 15 different emails and phone numbers. He would contact them, and right away he was opening up a network for me. He did it out of the goodness of his heart, but it was community based, and without that assistance, we wouldn't be where we are now. That video, I'll actually post it, but it doesn't come up for whatever reason on Google Slides. But the one thing you said, Troy, is like, if you are going to do this, you have to help out in the community. You have to get there. That's exactly what we're going to do. It was give first the community, show what we want to do, get involved, and pay it forward. So you can see we went with Winter Carnival earlier in the year. We obviously were involved with the Legion. That was a huge thing for us moving up to November 11th. We have on a monthly basis where we have the boys go out and just pick up trash. There's lots of stuff down near Gull Lake that they've assisted with. During the water outage, we were assisting Kevin Smith, who's one of our partners in Canadian Tire.
And Troy, we're just going to ask you to wrap up.
Oh, okay, no problem. Sorry, guys, I'm going a little quick here. But the last thing I just want to say was I want to thank our sponsors. There's the biggest thing. The community has helped us out with everything. And I go on and on about them, but they're a huge thing. And I want to, if you didn't show, I want to end this presentation with actually inviting someone back here. This is Brendan. He obviously is, want down here, buddy. We want to give him his shirt, his jersey for his sponsorship and his help. So at the end of the day, what I wanted to do was talk about the secret sauce of having a community based around you and going to them with assistance and help. And that's my secret sauce for us being successful. So thank you very much. Sorry about the length. I apologize.
Thank you, Troy. Karen Quimby is the Executive Director for the Alzheimer's Society of Muskoka. She has been with the organization since 2003. Karen has a passion for education, having worked many years as a part-time instructor for Georgian College, Nipissing, and Huntington University. Holding a master's degree in gerontology, Mrs. Quimby specializes in responsive behaviors in dementia. She has worked in many positions, building awareness and capacity within the health sector to improve care of the elderly. And here to talk about the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia is Karen Quimby.
Super, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm just going to pull up my PowerPoint presentation and get this rolling. Can everybody see that okay? I can't see anybody, so hopefully, Jeremy, you can tell me it's good.
Looks great.
Super, all right. I'm just going to start my own timer because I like to keep myself on track as well. Bear with me 1 second here. Welcome, everyone. All right, so thanks, Jeremy, for the introduction. Thank you for inviting me to speak about our programs and services and give a little bit of history. It's really an honor to have an opportunity to share with you some of the work we're doing here in Muskoka Parry Sound. The Alzheimer's Society is actually, my screens are not moving. It's a little slow. Is actually a locally driven charity. We have a board and membership, 3 full-time staff, 6 part-time. We have over 70 volunteers. We've been here since 1983, believe it or not. We receive about 225 referrals a year and have over 730 clients. And the interesting thing is that all money that we raise as a charity here in Muskoka Parry Sound stays in Muskoka Parry Sound. And a lot of people don't realize that information about us. So I've been involved in the Alzheimer's Society here in Muskoka for 19 years. And it's always amazed me how many people often don't really either know we exist locally, or they don't really realize how many huge numbers of programs and services we offer to caregivers, to providers, healthcare providers, general public, persons living with dementia. And you can see from the list, we offer a variety of different programs and services, and that's everything from supportive counseling, education, recreation, navigation to advocacy. And our healthcare system is complex, and through our navigation services, we really try to help people, clients and caregivers, access the right services during the various stages of the disease. One of the other things that's kind of interesting is to clarify what is dementia, because dementia is an old Latin term and it means away from the mind. And there's a lot of confusion about that. And actually, Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia, and dementia doesn't really say what's causing the difficulties. And that's not an exhaustive list. There's probably over 60 different kinds. And a diagnosis is not easy, but making quick connections to the Alzheimer's Society can really make a big difference. It helps eliminate a lot of uncertainties and a lot of unknowns. And we support people from the initial time of diagnosis right through the progression of the disease. So they might be a client of ours for over 9-10 years. And so I start off by asking, how many signs can you name? Because in 2011, when the baby boomers started turning 65, most could only name one symptom, and you probably are the same. And that's memory loss. This is a bit concerning because the prevalence of the disease is going to more than double in the next generation. And so in Muskoka Parry Sound, raise your hand if you know somebody who's living with dementia. Most of us do. 1 in 4 of us are directly affected. Over 500,000 Canadians, we're talking age is the greatest risk factor. So we're seeing an aging community, and therefore we're seeing this substantial increase over the next 10 to 20 years, as I said. And that's 1 in 3 people over 65 will have dementia. So that's a bit scary when you think about it. And most live in the community, and 70% of the home care is actually provided by our care partners. But unfortunately, a diagnosis is not easy. But making a quick connection can help make a big difference. And unfortunately reduce some of the stigmas associated. The pandemic has really exposed a lot of the cracks in our healthcare system, and it's highlighting some of the long-standing capacity problems that we're seeing in long-term care and in the hospital. And as I mentioned, we have over 700 clients, and over the last 2 years, we've really seen a significant amount of social isolation and what we call confinement syndrome happening in the hospital, in long-term care, but also in the community. And it's not impacted COVID, not only access to health and social programming, but we've really seen in our clients less mobilization, less activity. We see mood changes, functional decline, delirium, nutrition, and dehydration concerns, just to name a few. So in terms of the Alzheimer's Society, just to share with you, we really had to move quickly to respond to the pandemic. Like everyone else, we kept our office open, and with a skeleton staff, moved everything online, expanded all our services as much as we could with our extra free time from not traveling around the whole area. And we really focused on adding as much social recreation as we could to help manage that isolation, and started to move our support groups to weekly, and combining the different Bracebridge, Gravenhurst, Huntsville, and Parry Sound areas. And so you can see from this list a number of things that we were using on the social recreation side to help people. And this, we also helped in long-term care and retirement homes, and distributing into persons' homes in the community, everything from robotic pets to activity boxes, twiddle muffs, and we did online music therapy and art therapy. But unfortunately, many of our clients still had lack of access, lack of IT skills, and that was a bit of a problem. It's not surprising that many of our clients were still underserved, and we're still trying to make sure everyone has access to social recreational programs in our region. I don't know if you knew this, but 2.11 hospital visits are actually avoided each year on average by families connected to the Alzheimer's Society, and 1.38 years average delay in accessing long-term care among the Alzheimer's Society clients. So I encourage you, if you know somebody who's living with dementia or a care partner, try to have them reach out to us. Because truly, if there's one thing that you remember from this little 5-minute pitch, is that providing care and support is at the heart of what we do. And I encourage everyone not to be afraid, reduce that stigma, reach out to us. If you want to help, you can volunteer, donate, help a neighbor, you can help a caregiver, or spend some time with a person living with dementia, follow us on social media, sign up for our newsletter, and learn more to reduce stigma. And that is the end, actually, just my last thank you slide.
Thank you, Karen. Christina Hunter is an author, mother, wife, and environmental activist. She is a recipient of the Paul Harris Fellowship Award and was nominated for the YWCA's Women of Distinction Award. She advocates for the environment as a climate change reality leader, zero waste promoter, creator, and chair of Little Sprouts Eco Club. She is creator of Trash Walking Cup Count, beekeeping, and her love of all things natural. To talk about zero waste, here is Christina Hunter.
Thanks very much, Jeremy. I'm just going to share my screen. These have been amazing so far, so thank you everybody for sharing your amazing presentations. And there we go. So today I'm going to talk about zero waste, easy tips for all. You'll learn about why it's important to cut your personal waste and easy tips on how you can do just that. So what is zero waste? It's the goal. The goal is for a complete circular economy with no trash to be sent to landfills, incinerators, or the ocean. While we may not ever attain a completely zero waste lifestyle, there are small steps we can each take that make a huge impact. But isn't recycling enough? While Muskoka has a robust recycling program, we are lucky that many of our recycled products have buyers. It's still not enough. We're kidding ourselves if we think that every plastic film from a yogurt container or granola bar wrapper ends up back in the market again. By placing our faith 100% on recycling measures to curb our waste issues while manufacturers use new materials for products, it's a losing battle. Just look at this picture from a tour of our recycling plant. A lot of waste. So what about our landfill? Where it stands, our landfill has a 950,000 ton capacity. It should last us 40 years if waste diversion occurs. Currently, it's looking like about 25 years. Cell 1 filled to capacity in July of 2019, and Cell 2 began in June 2019 and cost taxpayer dollars 2.6 million. We face an uncertain future for our local landfill waste. So this is our hierarchy of needs for your personal shopping. First thing is use what you have, then borrow, then swap, thrift, make, and lastly, buy if you have to. We use our 6 R's when we're going to purchase something new. The first would be so refuse, reduce, reuse, repair, recycle, and lastly, rot. So let's get into those. How to refuse. We can start immediately implementing these strategies by just saying no thank you when offered things like napkins, condiments, plastic cutlery, samples, loot bags, plastic straws at restaurants, produce bags, meat bags at the grocery store, all of those things. How to reduce. We can reduce the amount of waste coming into our homes by bringing our own containers to bulk shops to fill up on. So things like pastas and rice, oatmeals, peanut butter, dish soaps, tabs, and shampoos, baking ingredients, and more. So you just bring your container. How to reuse. If we must purchase something in a package, we can look for ways to reuse that package or product. Some ideas may include baking soda, which you could use for cleaning, baking, making your own toothpaste. Ritual candles, you can bring your jar in and they can make it into a candle. Also soups and pickle jars, ice cream tubs, you can bring those into the bulk barn and refill. And laundry jugs of soap, you can refill at Muskoka Natural Food Market. How to repair. We need to get back to fixing our broken items versus discarding them for a new one. A few ways to repair items, if you aren't handy yourself, would be to start a repair cafe in your community and invite makers to volunteer to repair items. I'd love to see that in Gravenhurst. You can place a notice on your church bulletin looking for someone to help you sew ripped clothing, or they could teach you how. Make friends with your local bike shop owner to fix your bike. Ask on public forums and place a note on your mailbox. So always you can help to repair your item. How to recycle. When we wish cycle by placing random items in our blue box, we're essentially paying our tax dollars for someone to sort our waste before it ultimately ends up in landfill. Some ways we can reduce are by purchasing in glass, which has no limit on how many times it can be recycled. Steer clear of black plastics, which is the last stop before landfill, and look at paper wrapped products over plastic and cans over plastic for things like fruit or pop. How to rot. Composting plays a huge role in diverting waste from the landfill. If you don't have access to a green bin program, here are a few alternative options for you. You can purchase a green bin and then drive it yourself each week to the drop-off location. Start a backyard compost pile or tumbler. Purchase a countertop composter that turns your waste into soil within hours. You can ask a farmer if they want to pick up their scraps for their animals, or also let the district know that you have a compost pickup in your rural location. You want that. Many voices can make change happen. So lastly, I just wanted to show you the different, all around the world, there are zero waste shops popping up. It's exciting to know that we can still go shopping, but that we don't have to use our packages, that we can bring our own containers and still get all the things that we want to get. And that is it.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Erica Rendon is a business owner, rainmaker of elevating the human spirit, owner and operator of Comfort Keepers Berry, chairman of Muskoka Care, premium in care for seniors in rapid COVID testing. Erica is also happy to share some news that her and her husband Troy are expecting a baby in April. Congratulations. And here to talk about Muskoka Care is Erica Rendon.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I am so pleased to be able to talk to you guys about Muskoka Care. So just a little bit about myself. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. I've always been an old soul. I was 7 years old when I came to Canada from Colombia, and resources in a third world countries in the 80s was a very difficult time. And my love and compassion for seniors came from watching my grandfather, who had Parkinson's, be taken care of by my grandmother, who was his 24-hour caregiver. So again, I am Erica Brendan. I'm a mother of a 12-year-old son, Liam. I am a mom to be in just under 2 months, which I'm very excited about. I'm a fur mama of Maverick the Husky and Maddie the Basenji Saluki mix. I'm also owner of the South Muskoka Junior A Hockey Club, and I've been a senior care advocate since 2008. I've worked in long-term care, retirement, home care, and I've also worked as an Alzheimer's and dementia care specialist and educator for over 6 years. Here's just a little picture of my family. Thought I'd throw that in there. So who is Muskoka Care? Muskoka Care is a premium in-home and assisted living private care for seniors focused on helping the world around us a better and happier place. Let's talk a little bit about services. So everything from companionship and personal care, nursing services, transition services from hospital to home, end of life care, Alzheimer's and dementia care, and most recently, our rapid COVID-19 testing, which we do for businesses, community events, concerts, sports teams, and associations. Let's talk a little bit about PSW shortages, which is a concern across the country. It's a real threat. Muskoka Care is investing time, resources, and money into an Academy of Learning, which has been currently approved through the Ontario Ministry of Colleges and Universities. Muskoka Care is investing money and resources to bring those from larger populated cities to the Muskoka. It's not working. Yep. Sorry. So we're investing money and resources to bring those from larger populations to work in the Muskokas. So making sure that there's boarding and wage initiatives along with health care benefit packages. And we believe that higher wages and being competitive in the industry is going to not only increase our retention, but also recognize our frontline heroes. We are invested in screening in our recruitment efforts, which have allowed us to retain COVID-19. So let's talk a little bit about its impact. So government funded home care decreased significantly, leaving families to reach out to private companies to provide care, specifically your LHINs. Many families turned to the home care model with advanced nursing to remove family members from institutional care. And staffing solutions became a priority in the organization to ensure that communities were staffed appropriately during outbreaks. So some of the pros of home care, especially through the COVID-19 pandemic, has been, the reduction of contact with multiple people throughout the day. PPE and sanitation methods have heightened within the home environment. One primary caregiver per visit or appointments, respite for private or primary caregivers and peace of mind, 100%, employee satisfaction and significant burnout and turnover rates were reduced. There was also the personalized engagement and environment for our seniors. So what makes us a little different than the rest? We follow our one-to-one corporate social responsibility model. So 1% of our total revenue goes back into the community, which means community donations like the Alzheimer's Society, the Ontario Brain Injury Association, caregiver and nurses appreciation, as well as community partner appreciation, making sure that our communities, our caregivers in other facilities are able to get pizza days and Tim Hortons. 1% goes into education and awareness. So we have our caregivers that come together for biannual meetings and webinars, community education initiatives by making sure that Alzheimer's and dementia care workshops are available to families, to family caregivers, as well as our own staff, information on glaucoma and caregiver burnout, just to name a few, and educating the community on home care. And 1% of our time goes back to community volunteer initiatives. So everything from soup kitchens, food drives, the IG Wealth Management Walk for Alzheimer's. And I just thought I would leave everybody with this. On February 23rd is Pink Shirt Day, which is the Canadian Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse. Wear your pink out in the community because senior elder abuse is very prevalent in all of our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Erica. As a co-op director, Rebecca Hickey sees firsthand what volunteering, time and energy can accomplish and the difference it can make for so many people. Before starting her family, her career opportunities focused on fundraising and special events. She continues to instill a sense of compassion and pride about community in her 3 sons. And here to speak about keeping spirits up during COVID, here is Rebecca Hickey.
Hi, thank you so much for that. I'm just going to get my slideshow up here. Okay. Can everyone see that okay? I'm hoping so. So, hello everyone. My name is Rebecca Hickey. As a member of the Rye Community Co-op, it's rewarding and motivating for me to see firsthand what volunteer time and energy can accomplish and the difference it can make for so many people. I'm here tonight to share with everyone what's been happening in the community of Rye. The Co-op is a not-for-profit community center, 100% owned by its members and 100% run by its volunteers. COVID shifted our mission to engaging people in new ways, offering opportunities to improve their mental and physical health during these trying times. What do you do when pandemic restrictions repeatedly force the doors of your community hub to temporarily close? The Rye Community Co-op Board of Directors recognized that now more than ever, members of our community and surrounding communities needed support to contribute to their mental and physical well-being.
Rebecca, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Do you think that you could try and share your presentation again? Because it seems that we're looking at your notes and not your presentation.
Oh no, and you don't want to see those. Okay, sorry, I'm not techie at all.
It's okay. If you go up to the top and press stop share.
Stop. I have stop video or I have stop share right there. Okay.
Now just try and do the same thing again. Share your slideshow.
Share screen. And then, okay, hold control. Okay, does that seem better?
Yes.
Okay, but now the only thing is I can't see my presenter notes now. Okay, what am I gonna do here? Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I only have 5 minutes, so I'm gonna talk what I know about and not what I wrote about. Okay, so we have a self-serve food pantry. It's open 24/7. People can come anytime they want, morning, noon, night, and they help themselves to the outdoor pantry. It's refilled every second day by volunteers. And the funding for this is 100% comes from grants that are written and that we are successful in getting. Okay. Now I can't get it to go. Here we go. Okay, you know what? I might have just been able to figure it out. Okay, here we go. So now can you see it okay? You know what?
Yeah, you're perfect. You're great.
Okay, so here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so co-op volunteers pick up boxes of food from Gap. They pack custom grocery boxes that include frozen meals and fresh produce, and they deliver weekly to 15 households in Rye. We've also sourced a large donation of pet food that's available in the pantry, or it also gets dropped off with the weekly meals. Rye co-op volunteers have sourced and secured funding that enables us to purchase and distribute personal hygiene and healthy home kits. As well, these items are available for people in the self-serve pantry. Okay, so we have sourced and secured funding that enables us to purchase from local grocery stores gift cards that are distributed to people who have self-identified as needing assistance. As well, these cards help keep our pantry full. 80 to 130 kids attend each month for a socially distanced pickup of a free package that contains themed items to keep them busy and happy. Families from Port Severn to Huntsville actually drive out to the co-op for this programming. Some examples of past themes for the grab and goes are 2022 time capsule, holiday baking, Valentine's, family movie nights, holiday wreaths, games, crafts, s'mores. We gave away gift cards for free ice creams to the Summerlin store, and 100% of this is grant funded. Volunteers secured lumber, a water truck, and snowblower donations. We constructed a 50 by 100 skating rink with nets and lighting. This, again, is 100% volunteer built and maintained. Generous members of the community donated funds for a holiday toy drive. Parents wanting to participate submitted wish lists for 12 children. Families were given toys, boards, games, mitts, hats, socks, crafting and art supplies, etc. We gained permission to access a neighboring property and planned family fun days, which included tobogganing and marshmallow and hot dog roasting fireside. This past Sunday, we had 70 people enjoy the great outdoors. And this coming Sunday, we'll see how many people go down the best sliding hill and ride. Some additional examples of indoor and outdoor programming that we offer are early on, pole walking, ride wilderness explorers, musical jam sessions, euchre knitting, and so much more. Examples of what people are saying about the co-op. The co-op has brought our community together through multi-generational programming and events. Their dedication to providing the community with a holistic lifestyle is appreciated by all. And then you can see some other notes that people have said. Yeah, and then I just wanted to thank everyone for the opportunity to share some of the initiatives that the co-op has put into place to help Ride and the Gravenhurst communities be healthy and happy during the pandemic. Please reach out with any questions that you might have. And remember, we can all be the change that we want to see in our communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Diane Brown DeMarc is an executive director of the Canadian Mental Health Association, Muskoka Parry Sound. She is a registered nurse with over 36 years experience providing mental health and addiction services in community and hospital-based programs across Northeastern Ontario. Diane is a strong ally and advocate for marginalized and vulnerable people in our communities. As she approaches retirement, she is thrilled to share her story and experiences with our community. To talk on Not the Glass Ceiling, here is Diane Brown DeMarco. Do we know if Diane's here?
I'm here, but
Oh,
I
there
can't
you are.
start my video.
Did that work? There you are.
Oh, okay, I'm here. Let's see. Okay, so let's see if I can now share. I just have a short PowerPoint and Not the Glass Ceiling. That was a thought I had around this presentation, but I think I've kind of adjusted that. Certainly, let's see if I can find that. Let's go to window. Oh, that's the one. Oh, where is it? Let me try again.
Diane, take your time. We know that technology is tricky sometimes.
Yeah, it's not coming up. Okay, let's go to share. There we are. I think I got it. Is it coming up?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, we'll maximize it there. So It's not the glass ceiling, certainly. I'm a registered nurse working in mental health, and there really is no glass ceiling in mental health. We often think of it as probably having a solid cement foundation is where we need to be placing our feet. So I'll talk a little bit about who I am and where sort of I've been. And in 36 years, I've been providing mental health services in hospitals and in communities. And when I started back in the 1980s, you can imagine that most nurses going into work in mental health were sort of those other nurses. They weren't the ones in the hospital. It was a less glamorous field to be going into. And most mental health nursing in those days was in institutions, psychiatric hospitals. And it wasn't until early in the 2000s that the Canadian Nurses Association finally advanced the recognition and profile of nurses within mental health with the certification program for psychiatric mental health nursing. And I was proud to be one of the first nurses in Ontario to achieve this certification. So I started my career in the late 80s at the North Bay Psychiatric Hospital, and this building doesn't exist anymore. But you can see that it was quite an institution. In those days, we didn't have good therapies. We didn't have good medications. We didn't really understand mental illness or what was happening in the brain. Many people in the positions of power believed our patients would just basically were hopeless and destined to live their lives in institutions like this. Many families dropped their loved ones off at our doors, believed they would never be seen again.
Diane, I'm sorry
But
to
then
interrupt again.
deinstitutionalization started, and I was fortunate in my career, as I think back, that to see the evolution of mental health care and to see things change, the advancement in medical treatment, the movement for people to believe that many of the people living in those institutions could actually recover to some extent at least, and be able to survive and thrive in the community. Individuals who experience mental illness managed to live in the community. They came together, and with supports and advocates, they coined their identity as survivors. New medical advances and research provided new and safer options for medications for illnesses like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. The diagnoses were no longer a life sentence. And I recall the first time giving a dose of Ativan to a very agitated patient in the hospital. And without these medications, a patient like that would probably need to be restrained in order to protect themselves and protect other people, the staff and other patients, from harm. And giving that first dose of Ativan and watching that patient calm and quietly rest felt like we were seeing a miracle. And most of you will know now that Ativan is probably one of the most common medications used to help people calm down. It's used in cancer care, it's used in emergency medicine, it's used in cardiovascular care. So that all started using these medications in mental health and psychiatry.
Diane, sorry to interrupt. Your presentation is, we're just seeing the first slide still.
Oh, no.
I'll give you a moment to just catch up with your presentation. Sorry.
It's advancing for me.
You may just have to try sharing a different screen. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll maximize it and then share it.
Okay, so I'll put it here. Do this. Do this. I don't have my share button anymore though. I can just go on talking if this is going to work.
Okay.
I don't want to hold everybody up. So where was I anyway? The diagnosis no longer became a life sentence for people. People began to be able to live in the community. But advocates and survivors and people within the system really felt that this deinstitutionalization or people being discharged from hospital was really an effort to save money. And the potential was that we would be putting a whole lot of people out into the community without adequate resources to help them stay well. And we would end up increasing in our homeless population. People with mental illness or mental health challenges would end up in the corrections stream of things. Boy, there were sure some visionaries back then, weren't there? I remember one, and we had patients that came back in and out and in and out and in and out of hospital, like a revolving door. And I remember asking one young man, what's going on out there? Why is this not working, that you can stay in the community and be, and not have to come into hospital? And his response was, no one says good morning to me out there. And it broke my heart. Obviously, we were not providing, we might be providing a bed in a rooming house, but we were not providing the things that people need to be well and healthy: social interactions, community participation. So really, we were throwing people out into the community without any other supports, and it was not working. So in 2007, I left hospital-based care and moved into providing community services and worked in children's mental health for about 8 years, and now with the adult mental health system. I continue to work in this field because I believe our services are needed. I know that 20 years since we started emptying our institutions, where we are is that we still don't have the services we need to support people in the community. I now spend my energy invested in these community-based services so that unfortunate souls can feel like they have care, support, and safety, but these efforts now seem to be vastly inadequate. Through the pandemic, the demand for mental health support has increased over 100%. The demand for addiction services has increased over 40%. We've unfortunately experienced too many overdoses in our community, and it's devastated families and our social service agencies. My deepest sympathies go out to these families and friends affected. Our funding is not increasing at a pace that the demand for services is increasing. In the last 10 years, we see a 3% increase in our funding, and it's getting difficult to fill vacancies as well, and that's impacting our ability to respond. I may have started out as a bedside nurse, but I find my work now focused on advocacy, oversight of community-based mental health organization, and a system that is ill-equipped to address the needs in the community. But at the same time, we are committed and determined to make a difference, and we count on the communities for their support in our efforts. I'm always inspired by one of the most famous and my favorite Canadian artists, Jan Arden, specifically her song that's titled Good Mother. The advice is we can all follow to create a more just and equitable place for all. This is where we start, with feet on ground, heart in hand, facing forward. Just be yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Bruce Kruger was once a teenage ambulance attendant who became a senior OPP officer suffering post-traumatic stress disorder, later advocating for first responders facing operational stress injuries. After killing an escaped convict about to murder a police recruit, Kruger's life insidiously changed into one of profound horror, hiding his mental injuries as he progressed to detective inspector. After retiring, he became an internationally recognized town crier, and this is Bruce's story as a town crier with real tears.
Thank you, Jeremy. Oh, yay. To your worship, Mayor Kelly, to senior citizens, to citizens alike, and boys and girls. We're thrilled to be on Ignite Gravenhurst. I was a detective inspector with the OPP, and I unfortunately did develop PTSD, but I became a town crier after serving with the OPP in spite of my mental injuries. I've traveled to 9 different countries throughout the world, giving cries to kings, queens, premiers. That's Ambassador Stoltenberg on the right, the governor of Bermuda down below, and of course, Queen Elizabeth in the center. It's been a real fun adventure. But I want to talk today about real tears of town crying, the real tears of post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a psychiatric problem that I developed, and I never anticipated such a thing. You see, I want to start back at the beginning. I worked as a young 13-year-old boy and grew up in this funeral home. with an ambulance service, and those are the various ambulances that I drove once I turned 16. And I stayed as an ambulance attendant until I was 21, joining the OPP. I saw just about everything there was to see, and I thought I'd be okay on the OPP. Here I am as a young recruit. I graduated at the head of my class. I was very proud, and my father on the right presented me with my warrant card and badge. I did very, very many different types of work, from traffic patrol. Here I am stopping a Satan's Choice motorcycle gang member, rescuing a trucker out of that vehicle at the top. Unfortunately, I had to dive in for bodies out of that car that you see. I'm lifting bodies out. The devastation that I witnessed was just ongoing, and it just kept getting worse. I became detachment commander of Bracebridge. That's the Marine unit out in front of my house. I also became the provincial commander of the tactics and rescue units. As a result of that, I ended up with the G8 summit on the roof of Roy Thompson Hall. But my life changed forever at this accident scene when a young recruit was trapped in the police cruiser on the right after he had chased an escaped convict with an arm shot-off shotgun who was about to kill him in the front seat of the car. I came along, and unfortunately I had to shoot the man, and he died of his injuries because of that incident. It was devastating for me. I had been used to saving lives, not taking them. In 1978, a year later, I had my boat burnt in Bracebridge Bay, as you can see there. It was in retaliation for having done drug work, and we had a large drug takedown, and after that, they burnt my boat. The devastation continued mentally for me. This young fella here, he was an escape peeping Tom. And as he's trying to escape the scene, he struck me with his fleeing car, and I was off work for over a year and went through several operations. I still remain physically injured because of that, had to have a muscle transplant. The pain of these things just continues. Here on 1981, I found the body of a friend of mine murdered with 3 bullet holes in his head. Constable Rick Verdecchia was killed by 2 teenagers at Port Sydney. I'm carrying his body up the hill at the moment with the others in that picture. Again, the toll just went on. It was horrible. In 1991, I thought a person was coming to kill me. I won't get into the story, but I thought it was in retaliation for me having shot and killed the escaped convict by the name of James William McGrath 14 years later. That was my breaking point. But folks, that is not the worst that I have seen, and I can't even discuss one of the worst things that affects me badly to this day. But that's the type of thing that I have put up with. They teach us to train, to shoot. And I actually became a pretty good shooter. I don't like guns, never have, but I was able to shoot well. The problem is they teach you how to shoot a gun, but they never taught us what the harm would be to us and the mental anguish to us and our families once we pulled that trigger. And I developed very serious post-traumatic stress disorder from that day on, but I never knew what was wrong with me for years. This just shows the horror that I was feeling for year after year of hypervigilance, anxiety attacks. I was concerned about suicide, flashbacks, the drug alcohol abuse, nightmares, the guilt and the shame. My wife would actually on occasion have to get up out of bed and shake me to wake me because I'm screaming and crying beside my bed from the flashbacks. I'm no different than anybody else. I was scared like the devil because if anybody ever found out that I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, it's a stigma, it's a mental illness, a mental injury, and people don't feel safe around you. They thus keep it pent up, and all that I can urge is that you seek help once you have these troubles. I couldn't get the help, so I complained to the Ontario Ombudsman and he ordered the largest investigation into the province of Ontario for police failing to receive assistance for their mental injuries. Years later, about 5 years ago, I then insisted that we have another government intervention and internal mental health review because we were losing far more police officers to suicide again. We had to do more to save lives. I have to carry around this card in my pocket in case I break down and get into a situation where I can't talk or speak if I'm not able to sit in a safe seat with my back up against a wall. But I have to let people know that I do have a disability and please help me. I've gone to numerous types of therapies for talk therapy, exposure therapy, medications, support groups, and I also, those pictures up top, I'm on transcranial magnetic stimulation at Western Toronto Hospital to help with depression. I've gone through 2 of those series. So there's numerous things out there, but the main thing is if you're in trouble, seek help. I dedicate the slides to the memory of all OPP members who have died by suicide serving the citizens of Ontario. The Wall of Honor should show their names, and let's stop the crying and the real tears. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you, Bruce. Our next speaker is Karen Sibley. Karen retired from her career in the advertising industry just a few years ago. Taking her first graphic freelance job at the age of 13, she studied advertising design at the Center for Creative Studies in Detroit, Michigan. And after graduating, she immigrated to Canada and began the new adventure that was her professional career. Now a 5th-year beekeeper, not beer keeper, although that would be fun.
That too.
Now a 5th-year beekeeper, she finally remembers growing up around the hives kept by her parents. She is now a member of the Muskoka Beekeepers Association, and she maintains OBA best practices, focusing on the health of her colonies. Her personal mandate is to care for these amazing pollinators and spread the word on the threats that they are currently facing. Her other interests involve drawing, boating, snowmobiling, and enjoying her truck, the Big Bee. To talk about the importance of bees, here is Karen Sibley.
Hello, I'm Karen Sibley, and I've been a beekeeper for 5 years. Keeping bees is an amazing experience. Unfortunately, bees are under threat. Bee species and numbers are declining, and it's up to us to help them. We can change that slide now. Canada is home to over 800 species of pollinators. All bee species are unique, often specializing in the pollination of specific plants and living in particular habitats. And change the slide. Virtually all of the world's seed plants need to be pollinated. This is true for cone-bearing plants such as pine trees, as for more familiar flowering plants. And go to next. At 80%, this includes more than 130 types of fruit and vegetables. The honeybee is the main species kept by beekeepers for pollination, honey, and wax. So what if there were no honeybees? What would the impact be on the earth and humanity? Nearly 1/3 of the world's crops are dependent on honeybees for pollination. That's 1 in 3 bites of food that you eat. Think about that. Dairy cows need about 100 pounds of food a day. Most of what they eat, like alfalfa hay, need to be pollinated by bees. Without alfalfa, there would be no dairy products. Think about no ice cream. Beeswax is used in pharmaceutical, dental, and cosmetic industries. Products like ointments, household waxes, food preservation, and cough medicines are just a few. Vitamins and nutrients are necessary to our health. Vitamins A, C, and E are vital, and many people would suffer from iron deficiency. Again, without those bees. And bees are under a lot of stress today. The abundance and diversity of flowers has declined. They're exposed to all kinds of pesticides, diseases, as well as parasites that have been accidentally introduced. These factors impact the health of bee colonies, ranging from minor stress to death. It's important to be aware of these issues and for beekeepers to treat them effectively in order to keep hives strong and healthy. And this is the big one. Although there is some debate, it's pretty clear that pesticides are the main culprit. The use of a group of pesticides known as, and I'll say it slowly, neonicotinoids or neonics are having a terrible impact on our bees and pollinators overall. So you can take action today, from buying local sustainable honey to building a home for native bees. While many people plant bee-friendly flowers, there are also many trees you can plant that offer early food sources. Educate yourself and your children about bees. Bees are not dangerous. They forage on flowers and don't attack humans, generally speaking. By understanding them, we will learn to respect them. Don't cut down stalks and stems in the fall as native bees winter in them. Don't till your garden too early in the spring and fall as native bees live just under the surface. Choose a variety of bee-friendly plants that flower at different times so there's always a snack available. Also consider plants that bloom very early or very late in the growing season when resources for bees are low. Homeowners could wait until the bees have stopped visiting their dandelions before mowing. Give it a week or two, or set your mower on a bit higher and maybe miss those yellow flowers for a bit. Bees need a source of water to stay healthy and safe. Not only do bees drink water, but they also use it for air conditioning in the hive, feeding baby bees, and thinning crystallized honey. Be aware, very aware. Many seeds and flowers marketed as bee-friendly at garden centers are contaminated with systemic chemicals. The seed's bright color warn that it's been treated with pesticides. So if it's red or an unusual color, it's been treated.
And we're just at 5 minutes, Karen.
Okay,
Got to wrap up.
Yep, I'm done. And learn the difference. Wasps are yellow. Honeybees are golden. Wasps have no hair. Honeybees are fuzzy. If it was buzzing around you and after your food, it's probably a wasp. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Stuart McGill is a distinguished professor emeritus who has authored over 240 scientific journal papers. His books include Back Mechanic, written for the lay public with pain and is available in 20 languages, Low Back Disorders, written for clinicians, Ultimate Back Fitness and Performance, written for coaches and athletes, and The Gift of Injury, a manual for rehabilitating the back injured strength athlete. And I'm sure there may be more, but as a professor for 32 years, Stu has been able to measure some of the greatest athletes on the planet, the fastest sprinters, strongest power lifters, most lethal UFC fighters, and NHL, NBA, and NFL superstars, who are the most difficult to cover on the court or ice rink and why. It may surprise you and change your training. Here to talk about what makes great athletes, Stu McGill.
Thank you very much, JR. Can you see my screen? Because I don't see you now for some reason.
Loud and clear. And
Okay,
visually.
well,
Yep.
fantastic. Thanks very much for asking to do this, JR, and good evening to all of you. And as Jeremy mentioned, I was a professor for 32 years and had the great privilege and opportunity to measure some of the greatest athletes in the world. And I was continually surprised how many of them didn't test to be the strongest in the weight room, but in each of their own way, they were touched by the hand of God. There are many variables that made them great, and I'm just going to choose a few for sake of time, but they always had a trade-off. Let's look at the trade-off of elasticity versus mobility. Here's a great Canadian athlete, a fantastic leaper, well known in the NBA. He was the halftime show when the Raptors hosted the NBA All-Star game. And I wish I could go on and show you what he does, but do you think he had loose hamstrings, or were they tight, and was he wound up like a spring? They were highly tuned. The athlete on the left is a power lifter. They do test the strongest, but stiffer is better. Stiffness that they train allows their linkage to carry more load throughout their body, but they have difficulty scratching their ears and tying their shoes. The athlete on the right is an elastic athlete, where they use the elastic recoil from their hips, their shoulders, and their hand to throw a ball 80 yards. However, it wouldn't be wise for them to train a deadlift, which would detune their athleticism. The next concept is when a muscle contracts, it creates force, that's well known, but it also creates stiffness. So a fully activated muscle won't move. Now I'm going to show you arguably one of the greatest martial artists in the world, certainly one of the great Canadians. I want you to listen as he kicks the bag. I hope you heard, These are the recordings that we record from his torso muscles contracting. The first which I show you here on the lower left, is him hardening his body just to turn the hips and start the leg in motion. But here's the beauty. Do you see the gap now? His brain sends out silence in terms of signals to the muscles, so they completely relax as the closing velocity of his foot to the bag, the target, increases. Zero stiffness. And then when his foot hits the bag, he turns his body into a pulse of stone. So he's not hitting you with his foot, he's hitting you with 177 pounds of granite. Now, I measured the 5 top UFC competitors in this particular study, and they all showed that same pulse kind of neurology, and the ability to relax is what separated them. When they get tired, this is the same style of kick. Look how much muscle they're using without the relaxation in the middle. The kick is slower and softer, even though they're using more muscle. Here is a young lad where I'm just going to do a little drill to improve his ability to react quickly. I'm holding out that dowel, and he has to grab the dowel before it falls. No amount of weight room strength training will increase his performance and his athleticism. So I'm going to teach him how to loosen up and relax. In fact, speed up the impulses to his limbs. He's watching my eyes, and he can now increase his athleticism through relaxation. The greatest risk for people of my age, and I hope some of the listeners here, is now falling. I've talked about the speed of muscle onset, which is joint power. When you stumble on the sidewalk, it's imperative to have enough hip power to get your foot out in front of you and arrest the fall.
Here are some world-class athletes working on hip power. I hope that was a little bit of food for thought for all of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Stu. That concludes our first half, and we're going to invite everyone to stick around during intermission. We're really excited to have Grant Tingey here, who will be performing some music for us. Who is this Grant guy, you wonder? Well, for those that do not know, Muskoka grown singer, songwriter Grant Tingey says his love of music came from within his own family. At the age of 15, he really started taking singing seriously and later tried his hand at songwriting. In 1992, he was named the top male open vocalist at the Canadian Open Country Singing Contest and returned in 2000 and won first prize in the songwriting category. He ventured off to Europe, where he performed at various festivals and plays in Muskoka on a regular basis. Grant has a new song that he will be performing for the first time for us tonight, and he hopes that this new song will be embraced by both his dedicated fans and will be discovered by new ones as well. So we will now pass the mic over to Grant, and we'll take a short break afterwards. So no need to go now if you don't need to. You don't want to miss Grant. So yeah, take her away, Grant.
Hello, Jeremy. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Grant.
All righty. Thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this thing tonight. I'm just a local guy, nothing special, so don't be expecting any instrumental interludes between the verses, because I'm just a rhythm guitar player. So we'll do our best here for you. I'll be singing a bunch of songs that my dad and my brother and myself have written over the years. I like pushing my family's music. So here's one that Dad wrote. We live out in Harmony Corners, by the way. That's out east of Gravenhurst, out the Doe Lake Road. Some people call it Tingeyville, but that's a little bit vain as far as I'm concerned. We just call it Harmony Corners. Here's a song Dad wrote in 1967 for the centennial year. And I think your listeners will enjoy it. There's a small place in Ontario many people come to see. It's a county named Muskoka, and it's home for you and me. Our friends travel from the U.S., all her beauty to admire. And with her ever-changing seasons, you will never ever tire. To the north of us, there's Huntsville with her lovely lake of Bay. And there's Bracebridge with its river, what a pretty sight to see. But the town that I'm most proud of, and I'm mighty glad to say, is my old hometown of Gravenhurst beside Muskoka Bay. There's such a friendly atmosphere as you walk down the street. You receive a friendly howdy from most all the folks you meet. When friends travel from the U.S., as they leave, you hear them say, what a lovely town you have here, you must come again someday. Now you people of Muskoka, stand right up and give a shout. Just to live in this great county, that's what you should shout about. We've had 100 years of freedom, and for this we should be proud. So let's all stand up together and we'll shout it right out loud. There's a small place in Ontario many people come to see. It's a county named Muskoka, and it's home for you and me. I have traveled across this great land, many places I have seen. But this county named Muskoka sure is home, sweet home to me. There you go. That was a song Dad wrote back in 1967. Now, talking about the 60s, I have Kim. I'm here at Kim and Franco Ronaldo's house, and Kim said I had to tell you all a story or two. Well, this is a good one.
anyways, back in the 60s, we were out in the Doe Lake Road, and Mom would bring us in on Saturday afternoons. I think it was about 69. Mom would bring us into town for the Saturday matinee. And right now that would be the theater we used to be at, Curry's Music. So Mom would give us, I think, if I can't remember, I think it was about 15 cents to get in to see the matinee, and 10 cents for as much pop and chocolate bars and candy to choke a horse, the amount of candy you could buy for 10 cents back then. Anyway, Mom brought my brother Mark and I in, and we hooked up with Dave Seddon, an old friend of ours. So we all went down to the theater to watch the Saturday matinee cartoons. We were out of Mom's hair. So the matinee was over. So I was the biggest. I was 9 years old at the time, and Mark and Dave, they were only 7. And so we were racing back to where we were supposed to meet Mom. And since I was the biggest, I was in the lead. And I looked over my shoulder to see how far ahead of Dave and Mark I was. And when I looked back, that parking meter looked about that big. And it knocked me flatter than a platter. The next thing I realized is I saw this gray kind of stars, and then this circle of people's faces looking down saying, "Is he all right? What should we do?" And I had a goose egg on my head from that. It was right in front of the old Five and Dime. It's a new toy store now. And luckily for me, our old babysitter at the time that had been babysitting us, her name was Carrie Petsewer. She was walking by, and she picked me up and got me going back to where we were supposed to meet Mom. And I'll tell you right now, not the fondest memory, but I have to chuckle about it now. Anyways, here's another tune. My brother's a hell of a songwriter. Here's a song that he wrote in about 1977. If there's any kids listening, I used to sing this for my daughter Lauren and my daughter Nicole and my son Blake. They used to like this song. It's a little thing called Len and His Pen. Well, there once was a troll who lived over the knoll, and everybody called him Len. And he lived in a log with a greenback frog, and he had a magical pen. Well, the things he saw were the things he'd draw, and they always come to life. He drew a giraffe that would make you laugh, and a dog that could play and fight. His artist touch was just too much. He drew a fox lime green, and an elephant with an orange tint like you had never seen. He drew a big buck deer who could drink 10 beer, and I swear to you it's true. And a little black bear in underwear, the nicest shade of blue. Now Len had fun in the summer sun, but he was only in his life. He thought for a while, then with a smile he drew himself a wife. She had silver hair like a grizzly bear, and eyes like the stars up above. But she drank like a fish, and she made Len wish she'd stay out of the bar. Well, she couldn't cook or read a book, she just so. That's when Len knew what he had to do, that old woman had to go. Well, he drew a chair, sat right there, and a smile come to his face. And then he took his pen to the other end, and he put it on the grave. Started where her silver hair met her constant frown. And before the dawn, that girl was gone, his eraser put her down. Started where her silver hair met her constant frown. And before the dawn, that girl was gone, his eraser put her down. Now Len still lives in the log with that greenback frog. No troubles in his life with the frog in the pen that live within. There's no room for the wife. With the frog in the pen that live within, there's no room for a wife. There's one that my brother wrote. There's another one that Mark wrote. He's a great songwriter. He wrote this one. It's a song that is as poignant today as it was back in 1977, 78 when he wrote it. You can choose your friends at your right, I suppose. Go to a shop and buy your own clothes. These are a few things that mean we're free, but this country of ours makes no sense to me. It's Canada. They took all our taxes and they bought us a station. Petropan is gonna save the nation. They sell our gas to the states below, and OPEC laughs while they take the dough from Canada. Tobacco's bad, it's no good for you, so the studies say upon the news. But what about the farmers as they spend their time waiting in the unemployment line in Canada? Oh, in Canada, we still vote to stay free. Yes, in Canada, there's still hope for you and me. We must save the people of the desert land. See the starving children with the wrinkled hands. What about the people who live next door? Welfare can't pay anymore in Canada. It's your right in the Constitution to breathe clean air without pollution. Evie Eddie laughed while they paid the fine. The blind river's dead till the end of time in Canada. Oh, in Canada, we still vote to stay free. Yes, in Canada, there's still hope for you and me. Bringing in a stranger and they give him a car with money enough to go to the bar. He laughs at our customs as he breaks the law, and they give him a job in Ottawa in Canada. So many things that you know are bad about Canada that make you mad. But if you sat down and wrote a list, we're better off free than colonists in Canada. Oh, in Canada, we still vote to be free. Yes, in Canada, there's still hope for you and me. Choose your friends, it's your right, I suppose. Go to the shop and buy your own clothes. These are a few things that mean we're free, but this country of ours makes no sense to me. It's Canada. One more song.
One more story, one more song.
All right. Well, we'll do this song. This is I got two songs to sing though to set it up. Geez, they got to give me a little more time. Okay, this song here was a love song my dad wrote to my mother. If some kind fairy would grant me 3 wishes, I know what the first one would be. I'd ask to be with you forever and ever, 'cause with you's where I want to be. Forever and ever, I know there will never be anyone else for me. Forever and ever, I know there will never be anyone else for me. west to be happy and healthy. And let's see you safe all through the years. I know life can't always be easy, but I'm yours through the smiles and the tears. Forever and ever, I know there will never be anyone else for me. Forever and ever, I know there will never be anyone else for me. Well, that song was that there was one more verse, but we're short for time, so I wanted to finish this off. So that song was a love song that my dad wrote for my mom, and Franco and Kim, where I'm right now, they wanted that to be their wedding song. And you can see by the words that it was it's very poignant and beautiful, and I'm very proud of Dad for writing that song. So we were all invited to Franco and Kim's wedding. So they had the DJ all set up so that he'd cue the song, and so Franco and Kim, they're out in the middle of the dance floor, as with all first dances. They're out there and they're ready, and the DJ the DJ was asleep at the switch, because here's the song that he did play, another one that Dad wrote, the last one of the night. Well, I woke up at 3 this morning with that phone ringing for me, and I knew before I answered, yes, I knew who it would be. Then the operator told me I had a call from Rosalie. He said, would you accept the charges? And I said, yes, oh, stupid me. Stupid me, I had my mind made up. This time I'll say we're through. That's what I tell myself each night. You're gone and I'm so blue. Then you call me on the phone, you say, please come and take me home. And I say, yes again, oh, stupid me. Now, as you can see, there you can just picture Franco and Kim, they're out there, and she's beautiful in her wedding gown. I laugh when I think back on it, because the DJ slaps that song on. It's not Three Wishes, it's Stupid Me. Franco's got Kim in his arms, he just goes, what the hell? He starts dancing away. Two-stepping. Was that true, Kim?
It's true.
There you go. Anyways, folks, it's been a pleasure. I hope you enjoy the music. I hope the heck I haven't offended anybody with some of my songs. They're my family songs. I'm very proud of them. You all take care. And I want to just say one thing. We are going to be, Grant Tingy and Hired Gun are going to be playing a gig at the Gull Lake Park, Music on the Barge, on July the 30th. It's a Saturday night of the long weekend in August, and we'd love to see you. I never did get around to sing the new song for you, but I've got 2 new songs, and I'll sing them that night for you. You take care. Bye for now.
Thank you, Grant. That was awesome. July 30th. I feel like I don't want to miss that. I want to hear the new songs. We are going to start the second half, and I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes in case you didn't get a chance to have a bio break. I may take one myself, refill my beverage, and we'll be back with Jackie McPherson at 7:56. We'll see you in a minute. think we're good to go. Jackie, are you here?
Yep.
Awesome. So to kick off our second half, our 10th speaker is Jackie McPherson. Many of you know Jackie. I think this may be your, I don't know, 5th or 6th time speaking at Ignite. I think she did double duty one time. When a job came up at the Gravenhurst High School 15 years ago, Jackie jumped at the chance to make a life in Muskoka as a Gravenhurst Griffin. Now she and her husband have 3 adventurous kids, and between shifts at the rink and yachts on local trails, she is the registrar for the Muskoka Royals Ringette Association and serves on the Gravenhurst Library Board and Mayor's Youth Council. Jackie has also launched Away We Go trips in 2020, and if you're on social media, I almost guarantee you've seen it, and it's some interesting stuff. There's things that I had no idea were here. So I would like to introduce Jackie. We had some debate about land acknowledgement statements, and we do a lot of introductions at the beginning of Ignite. So we thought we would kick off the second half with the land acknowledgement statement, and Jackie McPherson will lead that for us. Over to you, Jackie.
I will. I'm sorry. I closed my tab on that. Oh my gosh, I'm the worst. Sorry, just 2 seconds. You know what? Oh, darn it. I'm so sorry. It's right here. No, it's not. Oh my gosh. I said I would have it, and then I closed it. Okay. Oh, I'm the worst. Jeremy, I said I would have it ready, and then I did, and I closed it. Now I can't find it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this, and then I'll get it again. I'm so sorry. That's the worst.
That's okay. I think your PowerPoint's been going in the background too. So if you want to reset it, I'll start your time once you go to the beginning and start talking.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just a little flustered now. Okay, I'll do my part, and then I promise you I will share the land acknowledgement. I just got mixed up in my own stuff, and then I've lost it. Thanks for understanding. Okay. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this fantastic event. I had amazing grandparents, and I was fortunate enough to be able to spend lots of time with them when I was growing up. My mom's parents taught me to grow food and to always take a new route when heading to the cottage and to try to find a new adventure. And my dad's mom wrote for the local newspaper, chronicling small town history, while my grandfather volunteered his time tending to the local cemetery grounds and filling in wherever he could with a plethora of local organizations. They were really good people. And when we started losing them, I committed to doing whatever I could to honor the positive imprint they made on me as I moved on without them. My final grandparent, my dad's dad, died in May 2020 when the pandemic was really finding its momentum. And my 3rd child was born 2 months later. Time passed, and as my baby grew, I found myself singing a song that my grandmother used to sing to her babies and and grandbabies and great grandbabies, though my new child would never hear it from her own voice. A wig-a-ma-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go, a wig-a-ma-jig and away we go, hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. You might know it a little different, but that's the way she sang it. I would sit at the window while my other 2 kids were at home doing remote learning, and the baby programs were canceled, and we learned to be suspicious of our neighbors, and life as we knew it was disconnected. And as I looked outside, I'd sing that song and let my mind wander to try to make sense of that isolation and the dream of how life used to be. Eventually, it became too much, and I couldn't stand being stuck inside anymore. But we were in lockdown, and I had to limit the number of people that I saw in the grocery store, let alone in public spaces. I started looking for places I could take my kids. We would learn until lunch and then go exploring every afternoon. I wanted to feel an adventure again, and this was it, a new place every day, somewhere we'd never been in our backyard. I scoured the internet for trails and historic plaques and places of significance. I took out books, the really, really old kind that they don't usually lend, but amazing at Gravenhurst Public Library. They trusted me with them, and I requested more from other libraries after seeing references that sparked my curiosity. I read the settlers' stories of colonization roads and failed farming and successful mills and the wit and the wickedness in between, so that I could share the stories with my kids on our outings. And when I received a modest inheritance from my grandfather's estate, I knew I needed to use it in a way that I could continue to honor him. I realized that I could create a venture that would allow others to explore Muskoka too, so they could experience that connection that my kids and I had found with the incredible natural landscape and the fascinating local heritage and history. I used his gift as seed money to launch Away We Go Trips, a venture that offers self-guided day trip routes around Muskoka. Each route explores a different region of Muskoka, taking travelers to a mix of must-see and off-the-beaten-path locations, while sharing the stories and intel that make this place so special and unique. I know a lot of Muskoka tourism focuses on our world-class resorts and golf courses, but I really hope that these little day trips can also help people connect to a truly local Muskoka experience. I want to help people find that feeling of adventure as they let their curated trip lead them to surprise stop after surprise stop in fun routes designed to work for all ages, like the Wild North and Fallin and Farmin and Escape to the Lakes, Forces of Nature, Lumber and Lakes, and the super special Muskoka Pride route. I want to share the over 30 waterfalls that can be found on the rushing rivers that connect our pristine lakes. I want to help people grow their awareness of how Indigenous populations were using these water routes for navigation long before settlers arrived, setting up summer camps as a base for hunting and fishing that would help them survive the winter. I'm excited to help people stand on that soil, the soil that so many settlers stood on as they tilled that shallow soil only to uncover granite, and then explain how important the Indigenous knowledge was to those settlers in helping them pivot from the dream that the government led them to believe was possible, and instead into industries like lumbering that are still relevant to our economy today. It makes me proud when I can share those stories, both in the roots, but over the growing Instagram and Facebook feeds as well. Stories of Muskoka-made resilience and innovation that led to the creation of our beautiful settlements. I'd like to believe that Away We Go is helping people touch the enduring evidence that of that impact while absorbing the local flavor and features found in each corner of Muskoka, from Foots Bay to Dwight, Rosso to Bracebridge, Huntsville, Gravenhurst, and even up to Brooks Falls. I feel inspired when I meet our hardworking and resilient business owners and chamber members and historians, those local voices who can discuss, and I can discuss how my business can help them with more exposure to keep building our local economy. And I hope others share in the calm that I experience when I wander over the 50 public hiking trails scattered throughout this region, which, contrary to public belief, I don't generally use in the trip routes, but do appear on the free searchable travel trails database that I created on the Away We Go Trips website so that anyone can get out and find their favorite walk in the woods. It's still quite surreal that Away We Go Trips is still months away from its first year. And yet I'm already able to share about this venture as it's found its place in Muskoka's vibrant tourism industry. I had amazing grandparents, and I was fortunate enough to be able to spend lots of time with them when I was growing up. And I truly hope that Away We Go routes can offer others the chance to spend time making memories and having adventures with the people that they love too. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie.
I will find that acknowledgement right now, I promise. I'll put it in the chat.
Sounds good.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Our next speaker, our 11th speaker, you may remember the Fry guy. I'm just going to turn Jackie's video off. There we go. Hey, there he is. So you may remember the Fry guy. You may have wondered what happened to the Fry guy. After 15 years of being a radio broadcaster in Muskoka, a shift happened for Mike Fry, who went back and finished his teaching degree. The Fry guy is now Mr. Fry, who teaches grade 4 and 5 at Macaulay Public School. This shift has allowed Mike more time to work with the community through youth sports. And Mike has been the president of Bracebridge Minor Ball for the last 5 years and was lucky enough to coach 3 provincial champion Bracebridge Bandit teams. And to talk about minor ball opportunities for kids in Muskoka, please welcome to your screens, Mike Fry.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. That's awesome. I haven't been called the Fry guy in a while, so a trip down memory lane there. That's great. Yeah, so I have been the president of Bracebridge Minor Ball for the past 6 years, and I've received a ton of joy just being a part of the organization. I want to tell you a little bit about it in hopes that you and your family can receive that joy as well by getting involved. So first, why do we get kids out playing ball? Many reasons. The first, getting the kids out and being physically active, off of screens, taking in the fresh air, improving their personal fitness. That's one. Another reason, it teaches kids valuable skills and life lessons. If you think about it through sport, things like sportsmanship, like teamwork, being part of a team gives kids a sense of belonging that's very different from what they can get in other areas of life. Also, learning how to respect others, helping teach kids to control their emotions and respecting their coaches and their teammates and their opponents, because things don't always go the way you want while you're out there on the ball diamond playing sports, that's for sure. Also learning how to follow rules, communication, developing good social skills through sport, learning how to cooperate with others and working towards goals. And of course, perseverance, because you're going to set challenges for yourself. You're going to run into roadblocks, but it's about sticking with it, continuing to try your best until you achieve those goals. And more reasons to play. You develop new friendships. Of course, you meet people and they are your teammates. And as you continue meeting them at the diamond each and every week, they become true friendships that go beyond the lines of the sporting field. Also self-esteem, the boost that it can give kids. Think about it, like a kid getting their first hit, a kid making a big play in the field. Those boosts stay with them for days after the fact, not to mention the mental health benefits of getting outside and active. Exercise from playing sports really helps to reduce stress, and being active like that helps kids sleep better, which in turns also helps their mood. Now, playing minor ball can also provide the opportunity to represent our Muskoka community on a much larger stage. And we have been lucky enough to have a lot of success with our rep teams that have been put together. So any player that signs up for minor ball has the opportunity to try out for one of our rep teams. If they get on that rep team, they have a chance to represent Muskoka all across the province. And we have a few pictures there. One is our Squirt Championship winning team in Markham, Ontario. The middle one, we actually got boosted up to a higher level of play, and we played in the OASA Provincial Championships, and we won the B division there, which was awesome. And I also included a picture going back to talking about respecting your opponents and the friendships you built playing tournaments against other teams. The Bradford Storm was a team that we met in many a final, and we had a group picture there together because through the multiple games we played, we've become great friends with those guys. So how can you help? How can you get involved and share in the joy that I've been talking about? Well, let's help get more kids playing ball. We're a not-for-profit organization. No one gets paid on the Bracebridge Minor Ball Committee, but our overall goal is to just get as many kids out on the diamond as possible playing. We strive to keep registration costs as low as possible to help that. Sponsors are the key to making it happen. So for the committee, we have to cover the cost of diamond rentals and insurance and team jerseys and hats and photography and trophies, among some other stuff. So for a sponsorship for $400, you could get your business name and logo on player shirts, as you can see in the pictures there with our remarkable young athletes. Also, we advertise on our website with all of our sponsors. Get a team picture to hang in your business just to show your community pride. If you're interested in taking that avenue, all the details are at bracebridgeminerball.com. Now, maybe you don't have your own business and you still want to help. Believe me, we could use your help. You can help out by being volunteers, because they are what drive our organization. We're always looking for coaches and assistants to help organize teams, help get kids on the field. We've even had some high school kids who are familiar with the sport earn their volunteer hours that they need to get their diploma by helping coach teams. We're also looking for committee members who can help with the overall organization of things to keep it running smoothly. So there's many ways for you to help out. And in my mind, in terms of minor sports, playing minor ball here in Muskoka, it's the best bang for your buck. 10 weeks of play. We start the last week of May. We run into August, the early weeks of August. T-ball once per week, $95 is all it costs. All of our other age groups, $135. It's twice a week for those kids. They get out and play 2 games, have some practices. for 135 bucks. Plus we have our year-end tournament where we bring all the teams together, all the families together. It's just a huge day of fun at Peak Fields. We have some competitions, we have golden gloves, we have a big barbecue, we give out awards, celebrate the game in our community, because that's what it's all about, getting people together, getting kids involved. And let me tell you, handing a young player the first ever medal that they receive and the look on their face, you just can't beat it. Is that my time, Jeremy? I'm out?
That's our subtle hint.
That's your subtle hint. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. That was awesome. And I just wanted to share with you, I do believe that Jackie shared the land acknowledgement statement in the chat. And I'll read it out because there are members of the public who are not panelists who can't read it. And my apologies, there was some miscommunication there. We were going to read it out before the second half, but we'll read it out now, better late than never. We acknowledge that the Schnaubag, maybe Jackie should read this. I haven't practiced some of these words.
I can. I can.
You can do it. Thank you, Jackie.
Yep. We acknowledge that the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Métis people were and are still the keepers and caretakers of the land and water upon which the town of Gravenhurst now sits, which is covered by the Williams Treaty and the One Dish with One Spoon Treaty. We are deeply grateful for the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples who have shaped and strengthened this community for the benefit of future generations, and we are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. And I'm very sorry I didn't have that pulled up before.
Not a problem. Thank you for sharing that. We do get a chance to hear these land acknowledgement statements ahead of meetings, public meetings with the municipality and the school board, and that. Seeing the words kind of threw me off a bit because I haven't had the privilege, I guess, of being able to read these out. So thank you for that, Jackie. Our next speaker is Yvonne Heath. And Yvonne was, or is, or has been a registered nurse since 1988. Yvonne has worked in the United States and Canada in many areas, including emergency, chemotherapy, and hospice. She became disheartened by our society's reluctance to talk about, plan, and prepare for grief, causing excessive suffering. She suffered too, not knowing how to do it differently. In 2015, she blazed a new trail and founded Love Your Life to Death. She shares her message with heart and humor as a speaker, with her book and online program, and as a television host. In 2019, she delivered her TEDx talk, and Yvonne is also passionate about the #1 Just Showed Up movement. And when not traveling, Yvonne can be found wearing socks and sandals in her happy place at home in Huntsville with her husband, twins, and several pets. They visit their older son and grandson in BC whenever possible. So here to talk about managing grief is Yvonne Heath.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. And we are actually going to talk about managing grief or navigating grief with heart and humor, because it's already serious enough. So that is the elephant in the room, isn't it? We've heard some wonderful topics, and grief certainly isn't one that springs to mind that people want to talk about. And that's what I'm here to change, because truly grief is a part of this journey. And so when I think of grief, I think, well, how do we define it? And I define it as our mental, physical, and emotional reactions to loss, transitions, and change. Truly, it's experienced in whatever makes our heart ache. Divorce, diagnosis, job loss, whatever is making your heart ache. And the one thing that is very important, and we've talked about it, and we're talking about it more and more, and I'm so relieved, is mental health. And I can tell you that unresolved or being ill prepared for grief will either cause or compound mental health issues and physical health issues. So we have the regular grief of life, and now we have collective grief. We have collective grief, which is experienced when there's a major event, such as You know about the pandemic, right? Yeah, we've talked about that. Such as a pandemic, natural disasters, social inequality, these big things in life, these events, these crises. And so we have collective grief as well. It's a lot, I know. But I can tell you that if there's ever a time to be more empowered, resilient, and happy, if there's ever been a time to bring more heart and humor, the time is now. And I hear people say, what can I do? I'm only one person. Huh. Well, I'm glad you asked, because there's something we can all do. And so I was going to say I have about 90 minutes, right? Yeah, I'm just kidding. I know. I have to make it quick or else you get the big hook, right? The hint. So what I'd like to share are 2 tips, and it applies to any situation at any time. Tip number 1, when you don't know what to do or say, 3 magic words, just show up. Just show up. Acknowledge and allow your feelings and theirs. You can be happy, mad, sad, frustrated. Let's talk about it. Be human, be messy, be imperfect. And you don't need a PhD to love and support one another. Kindness and caring make the difference. You can hug, text, email, call, check in. Let somebody know, I don't know what to say, but I'm here. You are not alone. Get it wrong, say you're sorry. Do it differently next time. And let's let go of comparison and judgment. Let's agree to disagree. We can laugh at ourselves, make them laugh. It's already serious enough. It's okay to take a grief break. And remember that we always have a choice. We don't always have the choice we wish we had, but we can choose to just show up and care and just show up with heart and humor. I will tell you a few things that help. Dressing in bright colors, chattering teeth, that can make anyone smile no matter what. And this great gift that I got from a little girl, it's a rock painted as a pickle, and it says, deal with it. It makes me smile every time. So just show up. And tip number 2, if you want to be able to just show up for others, you must just show up for yourself first. It is non-negotiable. And the truth is that we are in charge of our own happiness, and that is wonderful. We are in charge of creating our own resilience, and we can lead by example. And truthfully, bringing the best version of yourself is the greatest gift that you can give everyone. And so I challenge you, starting now, can you please make more of an effort to just show up for yourself first? And always remember and never forget, when you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable, and you can't fix it, the magic answer is always just show up. And I always bring my own tambourine to the party. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Peggy Peterson, professional gardener and permaculture educator, acknowledged as a water protector and a tree talker. Peggy was nurtured in nature and in the large family gardening, moving to Muskoka in 1967 and eventually offering one of the first professional gardening services in the area. Peggy will be offering courses and classes on all related subjects beginning in March. And here to talk about trees and caring for the standing nation, here is Peggy Peterson.
Okay. How are we doing, Jeremy?
Good, we can see you, we can hear you.
Perfect. And first and foremost, I really want to thank Jeremy and Jeffrey for the tech support. This is my first Zoom call, and we discovered today that Zoom does not like Brave browser. So thanks very much for your patience, and yes, thank you for the introduction. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Peggy Peterson. Many of you know me, and many of you know of me. I've been a very vocal environmental activist for quite a number of years. And I was blessed to grow up on a family farm. And it was a very busy commercial family farm. And my parents planted a whole row of cedar trees. And as the youngest of 7 children, I learned very early on to climb those trees. And so I spent a great deal of time in those trees, and unbeknownst to me, I had established a relationship, and I could feel their wisdom and hear their messages. And I thought everybody in the world could do that until I became an adult. And so I've been very blessed to have that relationship, and I brought that knowing to Muskoka in 1967. My parents were successful farmers, and they retired early, and we came to Huntsville at a time when I was so rural, I didn't know what a block was. And so over time, after spending, of course, a great deal of time in our family garden, I started a gardening business, and then I became a permaculture educator. And then, 2008, I discovered that there was some serious issues with the health of our tree canopy. So I'm going to touch base on that. But first of all, I just want to introduce you a little bit to trees. I called this Tree Speak, but it's really more about tree listening. And trees have been supporting us and holding space for us for all of our lifetimes. They are living, sentient beings who think, who speak, who communicate with each other, who breathe. And they love the humans, and they care about the humans, and they love talking to us. And I'm quite sure that all of you love trees. It's sort of nature to our nature here in Muskoka. But also, I want to tell you that the trees love you back. So trees are also story keepers in traditional teachings. They carry the stories, and they are also our ancestors. And so we honor them too in their presence on our lands. I'm so grateful to Ignite Gravenhurst because I got to think about trees in this crazy world and talk about trees, and they're really my favorite subject. I used to climb cedar trees, and if you're going to climb a tree, a cedar tree is a great one. It's not sticky, it smells good. They're also connected to water, which is connected to us. So there's a natural connection with humans and cedar trees. And there's a common sentiment that we all love trees, and that they are conscious. They have a conscience, and they think and speak, and they always speak from a place of love. They don't know how to be unkind. And so all of you have probably found a time in your life where you've sat under a tree and found peace. And that's one of the things that trees offer us, and they do it unconditionally. And so I'm just going to take the next moment and ask you all to just close your eyes. I'm going to take you on a little trip. Just want you to imagine that you are a tree. Now that can be any kind of a tree, and it can be in a field or in a forest, whatever your tree is. I want to get you to imagine the canopy of your tree. Is it what season it is? How it feels the wind and it feels the sun. The trunk of the tree, the strength there. And then I want you to imagine that your deep undercurrent of root structure that's holding you securely there and connecting you with all the other trees. Trees are the original networkers. They network above in canopy, but they also network with the mycelium, the life force of the forest in the soil. Whenever we can keep a forest unharmed, it has a much stronger chi, it has a much stronger balance, the more we take away from that system. So permaculture, I know a lot of people think permaculture is just about growing food, but permaculture is about everything that creates society, that creates community, and that creates a healthy planet. So I just want you to think in terms of your tree. I want you to imagine your tree, and I want you to send your tree some love. And then take a breath and open your eyes. So in 2008, I got an SOS from the trees. What I discovered was a lot of dead and dying trees in the landscapes. I discovered I did a lot of research why the trees were dying. I did a lot of far too many autopsies. And what I discovered is that we industrialized the tree nursery business. And we started moving bigger trees and harvesting bigger trees and planting bigger trees. And the way of doing that is to go into a field and they circle cut the root system of the tree and they wrap it in burlap and they put it in a cage and they send it off. And those trees are also buried. So the biggest thing that kills trees is that they're planted too deeply. So a tree always has a root flare. And I don't know if you can see, but a tree opens up at the bottom. It's called the root collar, and that always has to be above grade. So when we're seeing trees that look like telephone poles stuck in the ground, I don't know if you can see that. What we're seeing is that there's no root collar showing, which means the root collar is buried. And when a root collar is buried, it can't breathe. And so it sends up chaos roots. And what those roots is they go into the soil or the mulch or anything that's over the top of the root collar, which can be 10 to 12 inches underground. And they actually strangle the tree. I don't know if you can see that. Now, this is a very vivid description, but you can see that actually tree was buried up quite maybe 8 inches above that, but you can see the tree, the roots that are strangling that tree. So what happens is that—
And Peggy, we're just going to get you to wrap up.
Sure, all these trees get strangled. And so the thing is, we can fix this. We can actually do this really with education and remediation. It's like being an archaeologist. Kids love doing it. I want to teach you how to do it. I think we owe it to the trees. It's a long-term relationship. And I think we owe it to our trees to see if we can do anything to help. They have our backs. And the next time you're out, please thank your trees and let them know that you're listening. Take care. And thanks very much.
Thank you, Peggy. Our next speaker, or set of speakers, I should say, is our Desiree Doolittle and Jody North. Jody North is personally caring and creative, driven by a need to help reduce suffering and improve functioning, and has a genuine, no-nonsense approach to getting any job done. Jody has experience in systems navigation, client services, youth engagement, strategic planning, organizational management, and public speaking. Currently also the program coordinator for Muskoka Victim Services. And as noted, Jody will be joined tonight by Desiree Doolittle, and Desiree is following the path through the 7 grandfather teachings: courage, love, respect, wisdom, humility, truth, and honesty. A sense of calm is approached through creative thinking. Problem solving has been a life norm for her, which has enriched professional determination and justices in care. Experience in culturally driven services, youth engagement, program development, and community integration. Driven by commitment to community betterment and the value of relationships. To talk about youth mental health care and navigation, here are Jody North and Desiree Doolittle. Sorry, did we lose Desiree and Jody?
Jeremy, it looks like we might have. So why don't we move on to the next speaker and we can try and track them down.
Okay, if Jody, are we able to raise our hand in the attendees list? Because I do see a Jody in there. I'm not sure if that's the same one. Yeah, maybe we'll just resolve that and come back to Jody and Desiree. So our next speaker, so we actually have a pre-recorded presentation. That's Smith, who was not able to join us tonight, but she was kind enough to record a presentation for us. You may know Bet Smith, who's a local songwriter, artist, blacksmith, and welder, and is a self-declared regenerative agricultural fanatic. When she's not working with white hot steel at her studio, Person Forge, or creating colorful songs and animations for children through her project, Wilderness Betty and the Turnips, she can be found thinking and writing about soil carbon sequestration and other nature-based climate solutions. Bet's going to deliver a short presentation on the value of nutrient cycling, soil inoculation and carbon sequestration through composting, and why we should all become soil nerds. So here's Bette Smith to talk about composting, and I'm just going to share this. I'm just going to be a moment. Please bear with me. We got it. And there's Beth. My apologies, Bette, for that picture freeze frame. But that's the way that's how it went. So here we go.
My mother is a gardener, so once we moved out of town, a compost pile was non-negotiable. And there was no punishment more grotesque than having to take the pungent kitchen scraps out to the smelly compost pile. In my 20s, I spent a few years on a small Gulf island in BC where everyone was mad about compost. There were compost workshops and compost parties, and there was compost small talk. I learned about carbon to nitrogen ratios and spent a great deal of time collecting carbon-rich material to add to the nitrogen supply that came from the kitchen and garden. There was a great debate over whether or not it was ethical to collect shoreline seaweed for our compost piles, and competition over who would rake and take home the leaves from the few kept lawns on the island. Many of us had composting toilets. Good compost was a status symbol. I participated, but I didn't exactly catch compost fever until I landed a job in the field of agronomy and began learning soil science, the chemistry, biology, and physical characteristics that make soil work best. Healthy soil is full of life, and that life can be introduced or enriched through the use of compost. Soil life contributes to soil function in many ways. Organisms wiggle around and create channels and pockets for air and water, which are essential to plant roots and aerobic animals, to move through the soil. They leave behind a gluey slime that helps maintain a sponge-like soil structure, so the soil can absorb lots of water when it rains and hang on to it so it's available when the weather is hot and dry. This not only helps keep plants alive, but it also prevents against flooding, surface runoff, and erosion. In addition, soil organisms help stabilize and sequester carbon, potentially storing it in the soil for many, many years. Worms, insects, and other arthropods, protozoa, nematodes, fungi, and bacteria break down and mineralize nutrients so that they can be absorbed by plants. Plant roots can't eat apple cores or road apples, but can take up their essential elements once they are sufficiently processed by soil organisms. Certain microorganisms can digest mineral nutrients like potassium and phosphorus from, essentially, rock and make those plant available. Fungi acts like root extensions, creeping into places that plant roots can't access. The vast majority of farmers rely on fertilizers to produce their crops. Many of these fertilizers contain the same essential nutrients that you see in the vitamin aisle at the drugstore: calcium, magnesium, and so on. Mineral fertilizers are mined and trucked in. They are applied to the farmer's fields and taken up by the plants. They come home in your grocery bag, and you eat those mineral nutrients or you throw them away in your food scraps. If you throw them into the garbage bin, that's the end of the line for those nutrients. But if you compost them, they are recycled into the soil to contribute to life once again. On large-scale farms, nitrogen is also applied as a fertilizer, but instead of being mined, it is most often produced through an energy-intense process related to the production of explosives. The production of nitrogen fertilizer contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, and if the timing and application of the fertilizer is not perfect, a lot of that nitrogen leaves the soil in the form of nitrous oxide, a greenhouse gas. A great compost contains plenty of slow-release nitrogen, and is also potentially a breeding ground for bacteria that can access atmospheric nitrogen and make it plant available. There's a ton of information online if you want to become a composting hero. Despite my enthusiasm for it, my practice is pretty simple. In the spring, when the pile of kitchen scraps have thawed, I tear apart the pile and mix in a bunch of brown leaves to try and achieve a good mix of carbon and nitrogen. Then I let the soil organisms do their thing. In the summer, I try and add brown stuff to the scrap pile on a regular basis. It's slow compost and it fits into my lifestyle. If you choose, you can get pretty hardcore about compost. There are scientists who dedicate time to building the perfect compost pile. My favorite is a guy named Dr. David Johnson. He and his wife, Hui-Chun Su, have built what they call the Johnson-Su bioreactor, a fascinating, in my opinion, system that breeds such a vast diversity of microorganisms that the resulting compost can be sprinkled onto soil as an inoculant. They are using this compost to bring life back to desert land and degraded soil, creating opportunities for crop production in areas that seemed essentially dead. I've decided to use this opportunity to try and convince you to compost. Set up a compost pile in your backyard, or make use of your municipal compost program. Compost your yard scraps too. Throwing compostables into your trash is not only a waste of perfectly good nutrients, but organic matter at the landfill most often becomes anaerobic and emits methane, a potent greenhouse gas, and breeds organisms that create alcohols and other substances that are damaging to plant life. Rotting plant matter is obviously extremely rad. I hope this quick chat has helped ignite your passion for compost.
Awesome. If you're watching, thank you, Bet. That was really good. The animations were fantastic as well. I can only assume that you made those. And yes, very informative. So we have 2 more speakers left, and we're just still trying to figure out what happened to Jody and Desiree. And I think we're just sending them a link now. I did see, I thought they may have been in the attendees list here. So if everyone just wants to bear with us for a minute until we get that link over to them, we would appreciate that.
Jeremy, it looks like we're still having trouble connecting, so maybe move on to the next speaker and we'll still squeeze them in if we can.
Sounds good. So I'm going to take this time to just
I'm not
thank
sure if anybody can hear me, but this is Jody and I am here.
Oh, wonderful. We can hear you, Jody.
I'm not sure why. I guess I don't know if you can see me though.
We can't see you. I'm wondering if, like, it looks like your camera's on, or at least trying. I wonder if you have it blocked. Oh, there you are.
I just restarted it. There we go.
Wonderful. I'm just going to pass the mic to you and fade into the background.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your patience. Yeah, we had some technical difficulties there, but we're back on track. It's to be expected, I suppose. So I'll start right away because I don't want to run out of time, but we'll get this going here. Get the slideshow going. There we go. Perfect. So I'm here to talk about MindAid, which is mental health help for young people in Muskoka. Start with a definition. According to the World Health Organization, mental health is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. There are factors that can affect our mental health, biological factors, such as things that we inherit through our parents, or the chemistry and biology of our brains. Situational factors play a huge role. Abuse of different kinds, witnessing or being abused, isolation, loss, illness, poverty, homelessness, tragic events like natural disasters and war. Those things all have effect on our mental health. 70% of mental health problems show up when we're young. 28% of students don't know where to go for help. 76% of families indicate it's very or extremely difficult to know where to find help, which is a shame. And 5 out of 6 kids will not receive the treatment they need. Barriers to care, stigma is still the big one for young people. Fear and anxiety, confusing terminology, a fragmented system, poor transitions while in care, aging in or out, long waiting times, lack of local options, lack of personal support, lack of funds, no family doctor, we know that in Muskoka, no transportation, no public transportation here either, and not knowing where to start. So MindAid, what is it? Navigation assistance and support for young people and their guardians who are looking for help on their journey to mental wellness. It's needs-based, client-led, flexible, cost-free, and local. And it's also a link to needed funding. So who gets the support from MindAid? Any resident of Muskoka who's under 30 and their parents and guardians. And we're seeing about half and half right now. Since we launched just over a year ago, we have helped over 400 young people and their guardians get connected to care, more than 500 referrals made to over 50 services, resources, and mental health professionals, and 140 therapy sessions have been funded by MindAid. So this is a little video made in Gravenhurst by Gravenhurstians in partnership with the town of Gravenhurst, the Gravenhurst Youth Council, the Community Foundation, and funded by RBC. And it's shown in schools, high schools across Muskoka. So I'd like to play it. It's short. Hope you enjoy it.
With so much talk about the importance of mental health and mental wellness, how do we even know if and when we need to ask for help? Let's start with mental wellness. We are mentally well when we are getting along with others, when we're accomplishing things, when our emotions aren't getting in the way, and we feel pretty okay. Our mental wellness is influenced by what's happening around us or by things that happen to us. It can also be affected by our biology, chemistry, and conditions we inherit through our parents. When our mental wellness declines, for whatever reason, we start to notice that we are not functioning at our best, even though we can seem okay on the outside. Sometimes we are lucky and are able to bounce back to our healthy selves by taking a break or sharing with someone who cares. But sometimes we don't get back to feeling okay again, even after waiting and trying. This is when it's important to let someone we trust know we are struggling and reach out for professional help. It can be hard to know where to turn for help or how to navigate the mental health care system. That's why MindAid exists in Muskoka. MindAid navigators are here to listen and understand your struggles. They are here to help you figure out the steps to getting help from the pros. They are here to explain terminology and the processes that are confusing. They're like the travel agent for your journey to mental wellness. MindAid navigators are here for you to help you find your way.
So that's our little video. You probably noticed some of the scenery, probably some of the faces, and maybe even the voice of our young narrator. We're quite proud of that. We also like to spread education throughout the community. That's part of that campaign. So this is the words of a young client, I think very touching to us. We worked with her. MindAid took my closed doors, opened them, and built a dozen brand new ones. For that, I will always be grateful. Everyone deserves to have someone fighting for them in their corner, even when they can't find it in them to fight for themselves. Couldn't have said it better. So how do we keep MindAid going in Muskoka? We're pretty new. We've been doing all right, raising funds for our first year and about 5 months of work. But honestly, what we need is long-term operational funding to ensure that this program stays in Muskoka and keeps reaching hundreds of kids every year that need help. So if you are a young person or know a young person who's struggling, please reach out to us to start a conversation with one of our navigators. And I say one of our navigators, I know Desiree was introduced as well as myself. She's actually helping some clients this evening that were in distress and wasn't able to be with us the whole time. But this is beautiful Desiree in the picture here. There's only 2 of us at MindAid, so do reach out. You'll get one of us and we'll be happy to help in any way we can. That's our phone number and our email. And we have a great website and we're on Facebook and Instagram. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Jody. I'm just gonna stop your video. So before we introduce our last speaker, we're going to turn the controls over to Sandy Cairns. And I just wanted to note that Sandy Cairns has been instrumental in making tonight's event a reality. We do have a organizing committee, which consists of Kim Ronaldo, Sandy Cairns, myself, and Sandra Holdsworth. Sandra Holdsworth has been just phenomenal. She's in the background right now, but I want to let everybody know that she made this happen. She did the vast majority of the work. She's in the background texting us as we went through tonight, making sure things are going well. She set up really did a good job with the Google accounts and great communication. And I just want to thank you so much for another really good Ignite, our 5th Ignite, and very successful. Some minor glitches, but it is our first time with the digital format. And quick thank you to staff as well, because you guys have been phenomenal in ensuring things are going well. So that's the thank yous. It takes a lot of work to get these things going. And I will pass the mic over to Sandy Cairns.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. And thank you to the whole committee. It's people like you who make this town really move forward and get ignited. So I just want to say thank you to the committee, and Jeremy named all the names of the committee members. Again, without them, we wouldn't be where we are today. And volunteering your time for efforts in our community is what it's all about. So we want to say thank you to those who have put the Ignite together. Thanks, Jeremy, for continuing on with Ignite. I mean, 5 years, this has just been amazing. So I want to say thank you again. I want to say thank you to the small but mighty team out there. We've been, you know, on again, off again with COVID, and we weren't quite sure what we were going to be doing and if it was going to be in person or not in person. So our strong but mighty team have put the Winter Carnival together. And I just want to say a big thank you to our chair, Steve, and members Denny, Mark, Jeff, and Mallory. Thank you. Without them, and Sandra Holdsworth also wears the 2 hats. Thank you, Sandra. I mentioned to Sandra about being part of the Winter Carnival and helping us with Ignite, and she just took the bulls by the horn and she's made this happen. So thank you, Sandra. I really appreciate it. I get the privilege of introducing our next and final speaker for the night. And so I want to introduce to you Autumn Smith. She's the last speaker, and Autumn is the chair of GAP's Youth Young Adult Center and is the artistic director of Little Woodsmith and Timberbeat Productions. She is a theater director, creator, artist, educator, and community advocate. Her most recent work was immersed production of a Gravenhurst Christmas Carol that premiered this past December. Autumn is a professor of theater and community engaged arts practices at the University of Toronto, York University, and Centennial College, and is currently working with the TLDSB and Chad Solomon on this 7 project, igniting imagination and conversation through the 7 grandfather teachings. It is with my great pleasure to introduce Autumn Smith to talk to you about the Young Adult Center. Adam, or Autumn?
You can call me Hey. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sandy, what a pleasure to be here closing out tonight and to be sharing with you all in this event that is igniting our curiosity and our sense of how awesome we are as people coming together in a time of struggle over the last couple of years. So it's wonderful to be back and doing things together. And yes, tonight I am here representing GAP Young Adult Center, or affectionately known as GAP YAC. And GAP YAC was born out of the startling statistic raised in a report from Children's Mental Health Ontario. It documented that as many as 1 in 5 youth in Ontario will experience some form of mental health challenge. So in a time when youth are not only faced with the challenges of shifting identities, the stress of school, work, interpersonal and peer relations, our participants now stand in the face of isolation and augmented loneliness amidst a global pandemic, and the societal pressure that is always around them, being technologically on. So our goal at GAP YAC is to create a space that is free of judgment, allowing the participants to be their most authentic and messy selves, and to explore the world around them from multiple perspectives. GAP YAC is really designed to create an all-access pass to community engagement. It's designed to engage and activate empathy. Now, these are lofty goals, right? So how do we begin? Well, we started with conversation, as all good things do. Back in 2020, our former chair, Desiree Doolittle, who you heard mention through Jody North just moments before. She met with 20 youth and conducted a rapid needs assessment regarding the possibility of a young adult center. Now, based on her initial findings, it became very clear that Gravenhurst was in need of a safe space for youth to engage each other and shared activities, a community hub, if you will. So Gap Yak, before it was Gap Yak, decided to converse with more youth about the possibility and conducted a survey of over 100 youth residing in this area. All of these youth confirmed the need for a program and a gathering space that they could call their own. So out of this, Gap Yak was truly formed. And it's a group of dedicated activators who formed a committee to aid in bringing this idea to a fruition. So currently we have 10 activators or adults that form our core committee. They include community policing officers, teachers and principals, social workers, artists, and parents. One thing is for sure, we all believe in the power of community and utilizing curiosity to foster empathy. Over the past year, we have been meeting with local youth every month through our online virtual Hangout series. And we've engaged in some awesome creativity and community building, creating things like masks, cookies, superhero slime. And this holiday season, we undertook crafting cards and gift boxes for our neighbors in need at the Elizabeth Fry Society. All of our events are free of charge, and participants receive materials and snacks, which they use courtesy of GAP. This year, 2022, we're hitting it with a bang. We've decided to empower our youth to create on a next level scale. So each month, the participants are going to be given a prompt. They will take the question, quagmire, quandary, and craft an artistic response to that. All of these responses are going to be gathered after an 8-month period, and we're going to be curating an art exhibit featuring their work to be shared with the entire community. So far, we have given our participants the prompts of, who do you want to be? And tomorrow, actually, Friday, we have our February virtual hang where we're going to explore what is comfort. And we're doing an awesome mug decoration event. And all of the mugs were generously created and designed for us by the art students at Gravenhurst High School. In crafting a space full of perspective and purpose, Gap Yak means to champion the uniqueness of every participant while unifying our shared love of this place, Gravenhurst, as a collective. We are here to be curious, creative, inclusive, kind, and allow ourselves to wander and wonder, even if it's just for a little while. Gap Yak is really about crafting possibility. In conclusion, I leave you with a challenge, courtesy of my now favorite author, Carrie Smith, not related, but I wish she were. She has penned this amazing book called The Wander Society. And in it, she writes, society wants us to live a planned existence, following paths that have been traveled by others, tried and true, the known, the expected, the controlled, the safe. The path of the wanderer is not this. The path of the wanderer is an experiment with the unknown, to be idle, to play, to daydream. We at Gap Yak challenge you to wander with us as we navigate the unknown terrain of being back in person. We want you to play and daydream with us and to activate your curiosity as we support those who need us most, our youth. And on that note, It is my great pleasure to close out this event tonight. Go out this weekend, ignite all of your senses, share in the magic that is the Gravenhurst Winter Carnival and the joy of being in shared company again. We can actually talk to each other again, and just take care of one another. Be safe, be kind, and stay curious. Friends, have a great evening. That is a wrap. Ignite 2022 out.